You are only missing, to make it easier, the halfling and the cleric. You have everything else, one of each. Because who needs a cleric, really? Let's see. Okay.
And BX, definitely you need a cleric.
No cleric. Well, you want a cleric? You want to switch?
No, it's okay. We'll do what we do.
What else do we have here, guys?
I'm a thief.
You are only missing, to make it easier, the halfling and the cleric. Oh, that's me. Yeah, one each. Sorry, let me kill this. We're streaming now. Okay, so yeah, well, basically, to answer your question, we've got a thief, a dwarf. No, hold on. You're also missing a fighter. A thief, a dwarf, a magic user, and an elf. Right? Is that correct? I think so.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, cool. So, if I'm not looking at you all the time, I'm sorry, because I moved my camera to the side, so I'm getting used to it. So we're playing some BXD&D. This is for virtual GaryCon, since we can't get together in person. We're playing online. So this is the Moldvay D&D from 1981, I guess. This is the one I played when I was a little kid, and I still play now when I'm a big kid, I guess. And this adventure is actually from an adventure series that I got called Tremella Adventures. I recommend it highly. They're kind of not specific to a system. They're the kind of loose adventures, and you kind of fill in the stats and stuff yourself. So really, really fun and useful. So as we're starting, what I'll do is I'll kind of give you guys the background, and then you guys can give a little intro to your characters, and we'll kind of move forward from there. You guys have heard rumor of this dungeon or castle or temple. You've heard lots of different versions of what it might be that belong to the Star people or the Vinteralf. They're a very, very ancient race that live very, very far to the north in the really frozen wastelands. There's lots of, not too many people have seen them, but those who have speak of them being giants sometimes or being magical creatures, but that they never travel so far south because they thrive in the cold, and most mortals can't survive in such cold weather. So the communication between these races has been not so good over the years, the thousands of years in the history. But this castle, temple, whatever you want to call it, has drifted on a glacier and is now within about 3 or 4 days journey of the most northern kind of outpost of society, humans and elves and dwarves and such. And you all have kind of, for whatever reasons, decided that you're going to head to this place and see what plunder might be had. One thing that's making the trip a little easier for you is that there is actually a hot spring that apparently has formed in the last year or so, and has worked its way down, forming a decent sized stream. Not quite a river. You probably couldn't just leap across it, but you certainly could. You don't need a boat to cross it. Kind of coming down. So after about a day or so's journey north, you can get kind of connected with this hot spring, and or the stream comes from, I should say, and kind of follow that to where you need to go. So you'll be able to stay in relative warmth at least until you get to your location. You've loaded up your horses or mules or whatever you might have, and hired some help and set off north. So as the first day of the journey is kind of heading, you guys are heading north to this location. I'll just go down the line here, and I will have you guys each kind of give a little intro to your character, and if you have any opening thoughts, and then we'll kind of go from there. So I'm just going to go in the order that I wrote down here. So Hamlet, let us know about your character. I don't hear you. Gary?
Me?
Yep.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you call my name. Okay, so I am playing Thema. Yes, she stutters. Themalika the Mighty. I could be mistaken as a fighter. I'm a tall, very strong, sturdily built, blonde Viking woman, essentially. Braided hair, armor, giant morning star in one hand, and a pickaxe over my back. I've got the furs on my, like on my collar and on the tops of my boots, and yeah, that's me. Sort of chubby cheeks.
Nice. Okay, how about Ethan?
So I'm playing Sin. She's an elf. She's, I suppose, for elven standards, slightly unkempt, but she still has that kind of haughty elf thing going. Her outfit looks a little, let's say, I guess, unconventional for where we're going. So it's just like the long elf robes, and yeah, she's generally pretty up for facing anything, and has a bit of a, well, she wouldn't admit to it, but she has a thing for shiny things and gold, so it's almost like roguish affinity there, but she would never admit to it. So yeah.
Nice. Maybe a little dwarf blood in you. Well, that's probably an insult to the to the elf to say that, though. But how about Scott? You're muted, Scott.
He's a magic user by the name of Al. His moniker's of the Fetid Swamp, even though he's clean and bald and has no facial hair at all. I don't know how that happened. And he's brave for a magic user. So we'll see how that goes.
Right. That's what random generators get you. And finally, Tony.
Yep, following up is a female dwarf that is average height, but a little bit on the skinny side. Is you see her clothing is kind of usually disheveled and almost unkept, and you would think maybe dirty or unclean in appearance. She has this small growth of beard that comes down that is kind of wiry looking as it's coming and growing out. And her braided hair flows down her back in this dark brown. And she's known usually for being helpful and kind, but sometimes she can get a little temper, as most dwarves do. She's walking along, and she looks back towards her two disciples, John the thief and James the cleric, and she goes, "Oh, well, I think we got enough people to do what we need to do today. It should be an interesting trip, I hope." And that is Philantis of the Dirt Digger Hill Dwarf clan.
A lot of dirty, unkempt people in this part. But hey, you know what? I guess you're going to get some gold and maybe clean yourselves up. Except for the person whose name's Swamp or whatever. You're the neatest one of them all. So, as I said, you're traveling up, and when I say hot spring, that's technically what it is considering where you are. But the reality is that when you first travel through the first day, kind of the end of the first day, you reach kind of where the stream finally is kind of started to like sink into the earth, where it was a little bit not so frozen, and maybe you examine the water, and I mean it's not icy cold like you'll get hypothermia falling in it, but it's far from hot. But you also know that you're several days journey from the source. So having fresh water and even a little bit of grass and some shrub, some growth around it, the horses and such, are fine. They're there, so you're kind of in a good spot as you settle down for the first night. I suppose we're going to want to do watches, correct? As you sleep. Just for simplicity's sake, if it's okay, you should probably just have the watch with your retainers, so we don't have to know everybody's name, because my head will explode. So who wants to watch? Assuming you're going to have watches, do you want to do 4 watches since there's 4 of you? And if so, what order would you like to be in?
As someone who has to memorize spells, I'll take first or last.
Okay.
I'll take whichever one you're not taking. So
Okay, I'll take first watch. It's easy.
Okay.
I'm already awake. I don't have to go.
Exactly. You're not a morning person.
I've
Okay.
got Bob the Retainer to help me.
All right. Perfect.
Yeah, Philanthus would want the deep dark night, so I guess third watch.
Good.
I'll take the second.
All right. That was an easy choice. All right, cool. Yeah, so you guys, and again, you're set up for expedition. You've got a large group. You build a fire. You have rations. You got tents, whatever you want to have for that. So you're set up for the night to do, your watches as you kind of maybe ponder what you'll find in this as far as yet to be explored area. You'd only started hearing rumors about it a little bit back, and you spent a few days in town, kind of. A few weeks back, I should say, you spent a few days in town kind of loading up on gear and stuff. This far northern, town is kind of a stretch, more like a small village, handful of huts that sell stuff. Nobody knew of any other people who have headed this way. So you think you're probably first to jump on this, which is kind of good. And, the night passes with really no issues. It's a pretty barren land, and the skies are clear, bright stars, the moon's out, so nothing's creeping up on you. And with your fire going, you're easily able to make it through the night without incident. So as you pack up and start to travel, following the stream, you do notice on the second day as you're going that the stream seems to be getting wider and wider. When you first found it, it was probably maybe a handful of feet wide. By midday, you're looking at something that's several yards across. And it maintains about that distance, 10, 15, 20 feet wide, maybe, for most of the day. And you notice too that the growth around it seems to spread out more and more. So whereas in the beginning you were walking kind of in slushy soil, by the time you reach the end of day, you've got about a 30-foot or so space on either side of this stream that is grassy and has flowers growing. It's almost like the spring with all the light it's getting and the warmth from the stream. It's warm enough at that point that if you're just kind of hanging out near the stream, you wouldn't need much covering, unless a very bad wind blows on you.
Is it getting deeper as it gets wider?
It does. It gets a bit deeper. It doesn't seem like it's ever deeper than about a foot or so. It's not super deep. At areas, it kind of sinks down, but average.
We do have a dwarf with us, so.
Yeah.
Crossing the stream, if it gets 3 or 4 feet deep, might be a problem.
Exactly. Right. At this point, it's never gotten deeper than, there's probably little areas where it's gotten maybe like 3 feet deep, but from what you can tell, it's mostly ranging from about a foot to a foot and a half, overall. And it's wide now. Probably because you're coming basically across grassy plains. So it hasn't had time to kind of dig itself a rut. So it's kind of just, kind of flowing along as you go. And assuming the same watches, does anybody want to do anything else today that might be different, or tonight before we move forward?
Are there any animals in this grass? Birds or rodents or any creatures?
Yeah, actually, as you kind of look around, you do notice that there is definitely the occasional, mouse or field mouse or that type of thing. You do see some birds that are kind of flying in general, but they're more the winter birds, but they are coming down, noticing that there's, grasses and seeds and flowers and stuff that they can eat upon. And you notice some like lizards and things like that that are kind of in the water. So yeah, there's definitely animals. Maybe even the occasional bunny rabbit. Well, it's probably
now we're talking. That's dinner.
Yeah, exactly. Like a winter hare or whatever. Because clearly the animals are starting to realize that there's an unusual and good resource for them in the cold. And so coming to tonight. Okay. So yeah, you are again camped down. This night's much more pleasant. Not the first night was bad, but with the bright night and the warmth from the stream, even the person that's on watch or the people that are on watch, they're not hunkered down with blankets over them. You're probably just sitting near the fire, kind of relaxed, able to kind of not be frozen like you normally would be. That if you went a mile off to either side of the stream that you're going into land that could be very dangerous, as far as like the temperatures. But from where you are, it's very comfortable. And night goes by with no incident. As you travel on day 3, knowing that you're probably getting close to your destination, maybe you're moving quicker or whatever, you definitely notice now the stream is getting a bit deeper. It's more consistently about 2 feet deep, and occasionally you're finding areas that are even deeper. Also, it feels almost to the point of like bath water for most of the day. Let's say when you stop for lunch, you kind of put your hand in the water. It's warm now. You could sit in it. It's not going to hurt you, but it's definitely warm. Much warmer than any water that you would naturally, occur, except in the hot spring type situation. Also, if you start to taste the water now, you can taste it's actually a little bit, it's got a little bit of a metallic taste to it. It's not terrible. I mean, it's definitely still drinkable, but the water itself is, starting to pick up some of maybe the minerals and stuff that the spring might normally have. Somebody like a magic user or a learned person would probably understand that's part of the nature of the hot spring.
Finding this warmer water, Phalantus is going to kneel down, and she pulls up this steel wire comb, and she starts putting the water and some soap through her beard, and she starts brushing her beard out with the wiry hair. She's trying to fix her beard, but she doesn't mess with her actual hair and her braid. And she looks towards the rest of them and she goes, maybe one of you that practice the magics should take a water skin full of this water. It may have some properties we could use later.
Sure,
This water is
go up and
tainted.
get some.
I would not drink this water.
You never know, might come in handy eventually. Might be the best water we'll see for a while.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely notice if you have some concerns about the water that your horses and animals don't seem to be, adverse to drinking it. Normally animals are although they can't. Typically, they can drink worse water than you can, but they're not shying away from it. So at least on some level it's okay. You could, if you don't want to drink the water, you could trudge out and get snow and melt it. You probably have enough water for now, though. But you definitely could do that. I mean, it's like there's enough snow. It's kind of tundra, but there is snow right now because it is the winter as you kind of go through. Any other things? Oh, and also I should mention at this point, it's deeper, like I mentioned, and also now your space of kind of green and the vegetation goes out like at least 50, 60 feet in either direction on either side of the stream. And you're seeing a much more abundance of animals. Like you see a lot of mice and, other type of rodent-y type things that might be, that you would think would be hibernating or whatever this time of year, but they're definitely, they're out and about in this general area, almost like a small cluster of, like I say, springtime. And you, like I say, you've had bright nights and sun during the day coming down. So it's actually pretty pleasant as you're kind of settling in for the third night. So if somebody's taking some samples of water, that's fine. Just note it. If you do drink the water, it's fun. Nobody gets sick or anything. It's fine to drink for now, at least. If you don't drink it, that's fine too. That may change. All right. So assuming the same order. Okay. All right. So, okay. So the night passes as you would expect. It's pretty quiet. Just like every other night. But it does actually start to cloud up a bit near the end of the day, I should say, before the night falls. So this night is a little chillier. Even though the water itself is warmer when you're closer to it, you can feel that the kind of the space between this kind of fertile area near the water and the actual freezing area of the tundra that you're on are now kind of starting to converge and it's getting to be a bit foggy. So even though it's, with the clouds out, it's a little darker. So tonight's not as pleasant. You're not cold, but it's definitely not as pleasant as everybody kind of sits through their watches. Just about Ethan, as you are kind of on your watch, they wake you up and Philantis wakes you up, and I'll get everybody's name by the end of it. At the end of the 4 hours, I have everybody's name. So you get woken up, and you're doing your watch. And of course, your vision is much better than the humans. You're able to kind of sit with your back to the fire and look out. So you are not at all surprised when you see kind of off in the distance about, okay, pretty far. It goes beyond your actual dark vision, but because, whatever. About 110 yards out into the distance, you start to see the glint of what you think might be eyes moving. And you're kind of watching, and you start to notice, actually do this for me, roll a 20-sided die. And yeah, you're trying to get below your wisdom score.
That's a 10.
Yep.
My wisdom is 7.
Okay, so no, so you can't quite figure out how many you see. It could be 1 or 2 sets of eyes that just kind of turn and you lose track of them, or it could be up to about 6 or 8. They do seem to be circling and getting closer, though they are going slowly. So what would you like to do?
I will have Bert, my retainer, start to wake the others, just to kind of get ready in case whatever this is does get close enough that it might attack.
Okay.
Not too worried about it yet, but I will grab my sword just in case.
Okay.
Just kind of keep a watch on it.
Yeah. So you guys, you have everybody's starting to be woken up by this by Bert, the retainer, and kind of, I guess, maybe grabbing your weapons or whatever you would do. You do start to hear, as there's more movement in the camp. You hear from and everybody probably hears as you're getting up and looking around. You hear kind of from these beasts, and I'll say beasts because you hear kind of a growling roar, not loud, but like, and let's just do a quick. Oh, okay. And one of them charges the party. It's a wolf. It is. Oh, okay. Yeah. It can easily make it to you, to the party itself. So we're gonna just go through. So the way we do combat in BX is I'm just gonna ask each person if you're gonna do melee, magic, missile, or movement, and then we'll roll initiative. So we know what everybody's doing before we start. So I'm just going to go again down the line. So I'll go in this order that I have now. So Scott, what's your group going to do?
The one approaching us, so I'll have the darts ready.
Okay, some missile. Harry, what's your?
Thimalika gives an order to her dwarf and cleric retainer to stand behind her, and she pulls out her morning star and starts swinging it back and forth, fending off the beast.
Awesome. What about the dwarf, Tony?
She is going to prepare with her sword as she's drawing it out, and she looks back towards John and James and nods at them, and you see them take a formation where they're like standing back to back, like one of them's watching one direction and one of them's watching the other direction.
Okay, nice. And Ethan, you're basically have your sword ready, right? Unless you're going to use that. Okay. Okay, cool. So because you're the one discovering it, Ethan / I will get your character's name eventually. Finch, go ahead and roll initiative for the group. So it's a D6. You're looking for a high number, just a straight D6. Cool. What'd you get?
It's a 5.
All right, it got a 6, so it's going first. Only one of them is charging in. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to roll a D4 to see which group it goes after, and then from there I'll adjudicate. Second group. So, all right, it's charging towards Femelita, and since you told your crew to get behind you, it's going to come at you. You're swinging the Morning Star at it, but it kind of just charges at you in either case, and rolls a 10, which hits AC 7.
I'm armor class 6.
Aha! So it jumps at you, and you're swinging this Morning Star around, and it basically like loses its its oomph, as it gets closer to you and kind of bites just out of range. Okay, so the order of action here is, I think I would know this. It's missile, right? Then magic. So missile go first. So dart. If you want to throw that dart, you can. Now, Al, or you can hold it off. It's up to you.
Yeah, I'll throw the dart.
Okay.
$16.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna hit. Its AC is 7. You are a magic user. Let me just quickly check your third level magic
Yeah,
user.
it says I hit AC3 with that.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. All right, so give some damage. I guess a D4 for a dart. 2. All right. So okay, when one dart plunges into the wolf, it howls in pain. Now we're gonna go to melee. Clearly, Femily, you're right on it, so you can go first.
Yeah. I grab my Morningstar with 2 hands and just tower over the thing and bring it down upon its head.
Yes.
Rolling a 3.
Right. Yeah. So
Where I thought his head was.
Right. Well, it moved its head when it missed biting you, and you also miss. All right. So just to keep things simple, I'm gonna have your retainers then just go. All your retainers are gonna go on your turn if they doing the same thing you are. Are they gonna do anything, or are they just staying back your 2 retainers?
I think the dwarf with the spear will attempt to spear the thing.
Okay.
Rolling an 8. Which is probably not enough, but I'm not sure how this system works. It's been very, very long since I've.
Okay. So what level is he?
He is level 1.
Okay. So you're here. You rolled an 8. If with no bonuses, that'll miss. You're gonna need a 12 to hit him.
Okay.
I think most people will need a 12, a modified 12. Everybody's yeah. You all use the same hit thing. So unless you have a bonus, everybody needs a 12 to hit this thing. Except for the normal human. If you have a 0 level retainer, they need a 13. Make a note of that.
James, my cleric retainer, is just standing back and whispering prayers.
Okay, perfect. Speaking of dwarfs, Phalantus.
Yep, she is going to take off charging towards this wolf, seeing that the other dwarf is engaged it, and with her sword, and she yells back towards the thief John, "Pick up one of those fire sticks from the campfire and start waving it around." And she charges in, and well, let's get the bad rolls out of the way. As she rolls a natural 1.
Oh, nice. Yeah, the ground is slippery. As you get up and start running, you look back. To yell a command, and you kind of you have to catch your balance, so you're not able to. You swing very, very wide with the sword.
Yeah, and John's going to try to pick up like a piece of the firewood that's in the fire, to try to, hopefully part of it's still on fire at the end, as he's looking around to see if any more are going to come charging in.
Okay, so he's trying to make sure nothing else charges in at the.
Correct.
Makes sense. Okay, so how about Finch?
She's gonna try, now that she's seen that the dwarves are failing, to get it with the sword, kind of as a matter of pride. So let's see how that goes. 19.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna hit. Nice.
So that's
So a sword should do a D8 if it's a regular sword.
I think it is. Yeah. So for 6 damage.
Nice. Do you have any strength bonus or anything? Or what's your strength?
Do I have a strength bonus? Oh, +1.
Okay, so
that's 7.
7?
Yeah.
All right. Oh yeah, you take a big chunk out of the flank of this wolf as it, the 3 people are kind of facing off with the wolf with the spear and the morning star and the sword, and kind of it starts to back up, and it looks back too slowly to see you come up on the side and stick a big chunk out of the side of it. And it actually, one of its legs looks like it's lame now. It actually steps back, and blood is pouring out of its leg. Okay, and then we're up to Al. Oh no, Al already went. Are any of your retainers attacking with?
Al's covering my back, or Bob's covering Al's back.
Okay, yeah, so he's not doing. Okay, all right. So then it's next round of initiative. So I'm just gonna have the same person roll for each combat. We'll just switch each combat. So Anybody doing a missile attack or magic that we need to know about?
In my infinite wisdom of 5, I only brought 1 dart. So
Yeah, I'm going to have it's just still one wolf. I'll have James. He's got a sling, so he'll do missile and everybody else melee.
Okay. All right. So go ahead, Ethan, and roll initiative. So a d6. Oof. Wolf got a 1.
2.
All right, you're gonna go first.
I'm glad the wolf did worse than I did.
Okay, so the wolf is hurt, so it's moving very slowly. The other wolves, actually, go ahead and sling first.
Yeah, James the cleric is going to take careful aim. Hope he doesn't hit any of those dwarves and make them mad. So,
Don't roll a 1.
hey, a 19 on the die.
It's gonna hit.
So
Nice.
2 points. 2 points.
2 points is enough. Okay, so this wolf is it's clearly going down. I mean, maybe the elf will claim success because the amount of blood that's pouring out of the back of it, it's kind of like going backwards a bit, and you hear the other wolves howling, and the melee fighters are all getting ready to finish it when a stone comes flying from the darkness and whacks the wolf on the side of the head, and it kind of shakes its head a little bit and then falls to the ground, and it's not moving. At that moment, the other wolves they all scatter, into the darkness, and we're out of combat. Unless you want to chase them into the dark, frozen tundra.
Not
He might go
particularly.
roaring.
I didn't think so, but I had to ask.
one was enough to play with. We'll let the rest run.
This wolf is that was exactly enough. So it dies. It's got a huge slash in its side from the sword and a dart stuck into it, and of course a sling stone. You can obviously recover the dart if you want.
I will try to do that.
Yeah, I mean, because the wolf.
Atlantis will look towards the very large Nordic female thief we have and go, well, we could skin that wolf hide and you could probably have it for some type of coat to wear or something.
Yeah, this would make a good coat and good eating victuals.
All right. You have a nice breakfast. I mean, it was very much the end of the watch, so maybe you guys decide to just kind of like sit and kind of, nobody's hurt, but kind of check yourself to see if you're hurt and just kind of get yourself moving. It's probably not worthwhile to go back to bed at this point. Maybe you spend the time dealing with the wolf and maybe eating some of the meat from it and keeping a watch to see if any other ones come back, and they do not. You do know though, by the time the sun starts to kind of really come up and now it's getting warmer, that the fog is really kind of creeping in, so your movement is going to be a little slowed today, but you've made pretty good time overall, so you're probably not too concerned by that as you head out on day 4, which occasionally you hear a wolf howl, like kind of until about like, we'll say mid-morning, like 10 o'clock or something, you hear the occasional wolf howl. But after that, all's pretty quiet as you continue to travel throughout the day. Unless there's something else you want to do before you left. I just moved you without.
Hopefully the mice and bunny rabbits are more appealing to the wolves now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you figure that might be one of the reasons why the wolves are so close, is because there's definitely an abundance of small prey here for them. You're definitely tougher prey than maybe they've ever fought. So you travel till about maybe 1 in the afternoon or something, and at that point, you enter into a valley, which is mostly clear now from the fog by this time of day, but there's still a little bit kind of low fog in here because it's a valley, of course, it sits in there. And let me get my map. There you go. Okay, so basically you're at as the screen would be, you're at the left-hand side, kind of near the bottom. You can see the stream kind of coming up, from the bottom of the screen, whatever we'll call it. And you can see in front of you kind of a sheer cliff, and back along the cliff, it's higher than you, so you only see part of it. You can see there's definitely a building there. You do see an opening. Just to give you some scale, that cliff is, let me look at my notes here, I believe it is 300. Yeah, it's just shy of 300 feet to the top of the cliff.
Yowza.
Yeah, so it's tall.
That opening's way up there.
Yep, the opening is about 60 feet up.
And the opening is very tall.
And it's very tall. Yep, it's almost 60 foot itself. It's huge. The stream, as you notice, runs right to the as you're kind of moving close to it, it runs right to the cliff face. There is it goes underneath, but it doesn't disappear underneath. There's kind of a tunnel there. It looks like if you walk up to it, you get off your horse as you're kind of examining the area. The water there is about 2 feet deep, and the opening above the water is about 3 foot. So you got about a 5 foot tall tunnel where the water is. If you were to climb the cliff face itself, it's about 60 foot or so to that opening, and as noted, the opening is huge. Any other notes here? The water here is very warm. You've been testing it all along. It's still not to the point where it's not boiling, but it's very warm. Probably it would be uncomfortable to be in it for a long period of time, but it shouldn't. At least at this moment, it's not dangerous. And it's daytime and blah blah. The face of the glacier would be fairly easy to climb, especially for a thief. Though it's very, very rough with lots of cracks. It doesn't look very stable, but it does look pretty easy to climb. And that's the
climb for the thief or for everybody.
Right. So mechanically, the thief doesn't have to roll. It's that easy. Anybody could climb it. There is a chance as you're climbing it always that somebody could fall, but most people have a pretty good chance of climbing it.
I don't have any rope. Do you dwarves have rope?
I actually have a grappling hook and 80 feet of silk rope. So that should get us up to the entrance at least.
The fancy.
Yep, and you see Philantis as she starts going through some of her supplies, and she says, "Well, I have two choices. I have this hemp rope by itself, or I can pull out the hemp rope with the grappling hook. Which one do you prefer?"
And we can look between the dwarf and the elf.
Grappling hooks and plenty of rope.
Definitely sort of sidles over toward the elf. I can take this rope up, and then I will tie it at the top, and you can ascend safely.
Yeah, I'll hand it over to you.
All right. And just Daniel, just to be clear, did you say that the stream is coming out of a hole that we could, as an alternate way in?
Yes, you could definitely go in that way. It would be about, I guess, for any human or especially taller ones, you would have to crouch down because it's only about a 5 foot tall total. It's about 3 foot of airspace and about 2 feet of water.
And it's pretty hot water at this point?
It's a hot water. Imagine it like a very hot bath. Like if you got in it, you might be like, oh, maybe I should give it 5 minutes. It probably won't burn you, but if you're in it for a long period, your skin will probably end up being very red.
Right.
Yeah, so mechanically, we're not going to take any
You
damage.
can climb up the hot water slide or climb up the cliff face to the hole.
All right, let me go. I see what's indoor. I take the grappling hook and hitch it to the back of my armor, and I start carefully climbing up the rock face to get to that hole.
Okay, yeah. You're climbing up, and like I said, for a thief, you don't even have to roll. It's that easy for you with your skill. And you can definitely even kind of look for the easiest path so that you can even be pointing it out. Hey, use this when you're using the rope. And you're able to climb up. It's pretty big handholds. I mean, you need obviously strength, but otherwise, and some time. But you climb to the top, and you kind of look in. The sun is basically on the other side, so you're on the shadow side essentially. So even though it's the daytime, you can't see super far into it, but you can see about, we'll say at least 30 foot in. It is looks like it was carved directly out of a large piece of stone. Probably you would guess maybe through magic or some type of architecture that's unknown to you. In other words, there's no flagstones or anything. It's like literally, it looks like this thing was cut, but it doesn't look like a cavern. It looks very, very manufactured. It is kind of this grayish stone that seems to match the rest of the area. And like I said, you can see in about 30 foot and maybe a little bit further. It's just a straight tunnel going straight in. There's nothing super obvious in the tunnel, just from kind of peeking in. And you can definitely find a place to put the grappling hook.
All right, I'm going to put my ear to the ground and listen to see if there are any sounds.
Good call.
What you listen? Should be on there.
It is hear noises 1 to 3.
Okay. Yeah, so you get up there and everybody's kind of waiting for you. Probably like, why is the thief taking so long? But you kind of get down and put your ear to the ground and you're like waiting for your absolute silence. And you do actually hear what sounds like slowly walking footsteps of somebody who is wearing possibly armor, because you can hear like a little bit of metal dragging, but almost like they're injured or maybe drunk, because they seem to be dragging their feet. And it's coming from down the tunnel.
All right, my head pops out over the ledge looking down at you, and you see my finger in front of my mouth. Shh. As I tie the rope off and throw it down for the next person to come up.
Okay. So it's only 60 foot, so we'll say it just takes a couple of, a minute or so for each person to climb up. Who do we have an ascending order? Actually, who are the first 3 people? Let's do it that way.
Atlantis, it being the smaller dwarf, she's not, seems to be smaller. She laughs and she says, well, most of my kin would have trouble doing this, but let me go on up in case we need some, sword power. And with her high dex, she will go in one of the other 2.
Okay, what is your dex actually?
16.
Okay, so that's +2. All right, so you're totally fine. You get up, no problem. Next.
Well, if the dwarf can do it.
All right. So basically, mechanically, just as it's a D6 roll, you would have a problem on a 1, but you subtract any dex modifier from it. So if you got any modifier on dex, then you get up no problem. If you have a negative on your dex, then let me know. That'll be a problem. So what is your dex?
I got 11 for dex. I'm middle of the road.
So no mod. Okay, and you're holding the rope. Okay.
I rolled a 1.
You did. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So as you're climbing up, you actually knock loose a pretty big piece of stone, and you start to drop. But of course, you hold onto the rope, so you catch yourself and are able to climb up the rest of the way. If you didn't have that rope, you would have certainly fallen at that point. That being said, that's going to delay you.
Give the thief a shrug and a look like,
She's just shaking her head.
Yeah, so everybody at the bottom kind of scatters, and you guys, your horses probably get a little, whatever, as some rock falls, but you're able to get up. But as you are, it takes you a little bit longer. So just coming in, I'm assuming that you're paying attention and watching down the hallway, Femelita. You see just coming into your vision, a shape, a human shape. It looks like it's bearing a sword, and it's kind of dragging itself and walking towards you. It kind of breaks into the, it's about 30-ish feet away at this point, and it kind of lets out a sound like, so we're going to roll initiative because this thing is actually coming after you. And since you're the one that's looking, Harry, go ahead and roll.
I got a 6.
Okay, you're going to go first. I didn't ask everybody what they're doing, but there's only 3 people up there currently. Whoever was the 4th person, which is probably one of the, I'm assuming it's Finch, you're going to come up at 1 round into it.
Okay.
So yeah, just as the magic user gets to the top, you see this, and you guys can go first. So we've got, like I said, I think probably the thief should go first because she sees it. So go ahead. Femelita.
Are there any shadows that could be hidden in, or is this like a completely?
I mean, where you are behind it, you'd have to go past it to get into the dark because you're literally in the lit area. It's coming from the shadows.
Right.
I mean, you could, in theory, like go out onto the wall, like go outside and hide out there. And if it happened to come close enough, you could get it. Like I'm thinking if you're trying to sneak up on it, but it would have to come all the way to the edge for you to hit it. So,
What about climbing up onto the ceiling?
inside here, no, it's smooth, but you could climb outside and up around. Yeah.
Right. Well, that would expose the wizard too much. All right. I am adopting my usual swinging mace threatening pattern.
Okay.
Defending my people with my size and strength.
Okay, so you're gonna wait till it gets to you. How about Valentis?
How far away is it roughly?
About 30 feet.
Yeah, Valantis, and knowing that they've probably been seen, she's just going to charge it.
Okay.
Swing at it with her sword. And she'll miss.
Okay. You charge at this thing, and you see that you're thinking it was probably a human or maybe an elf, probably a human by its height. But as you get closer, you can see it's underneath its helmet. Half of its face is kind of pulled off, and there's like skeleton bone underneath. And you just smell a stink on it as you swing up and miss with your weapon.
She's used to that smell, coming from the healed dwarves. So she just kind of reeks for just a moment.
Okay. And what about Al?
Well, I've got the 1 foot long war dart I can throw at it.
Okay.
It's horrible. 3.
Okay, so you throw it off into the darkness. As this thing approaches, can it move 30? Let's look at his movement. Yep, that is his move. All right, so it moves forward. Actually, it doesn't move forward because the dwarf attacked it, so it's going to just attack you. It's going to stay where it is. That makes more sense. It has this like rusty sword, and it has it in its hand, but instead of taking the sword, it actually like you see its mailed fist is the chainmail on it is like rusted and broken off, and its nails are long and greasy, and it tries to cut at you with it just tries to grab you basically. No, it's not going to hit you though. That only hits an AC of nothing. That misses altogether. Level 6. So it swings at you wildly and misses. And at this point, Ethan's character Finch is coming up, but let's roll initiative for the next round. We'll stick again with the same person per combat. So Harry, roll initiative. D6. Ooh,
5.
Oh, good. All right, I got 4. Is anybody doing a missile or magic? Because they'll go first.
Nope.
Nope. Okay, then I'm going to say that probably just because Tony's character is so close to it, I'll have you go first.
All right. Oh, much better. That will hit armor class 4
That hits.
for 4 points of damage.
All right. Not bad. It doesn't go down, but it staggers back as you hit it. It doesn't make a sound. Like its mouth like drops open. And it's like almost, I mean, it makes just that kind of grunty sounds that you're hearing, but it's weird. The sound now that you're close to it doesn't even sound like it's coming from its mouth. It's more like it's just kind of gurgling out of its body. It's kind of like as it waits for the rest of the party to kick its ass. So then I'm just going to go in order again. Is Al going to do anything? Oh yeah, Al's up here.
I'll rush with the dagger.
Okay. Why not? Go for it.
Said I was brave. I got to prove it. I hit AC 6 with a 13.
That misses. This is AC 5, so you need a 14 basically to hit this thing, I think. Yeah. So you jam the blade against it, but it's just where some of its armor is not quite as rusted, and it knocks away, unfortunately. How about Femelita?
Femelita looks over at her dwarf retainer and Wigman, the sign that they know so well of he is to use his spear to distract the thing while she slips behind it.
Okay, they're still on the ground though at this point because not everybody's up. Sorry if that wasn't clear.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
they can
and
climb up.
she goes to wink, and he's not there. So she is going to try to slip past on her own.
Okay, I mean it's somewhat distracted. We'll try that.
Oh.
I guess I'll just do a do a hide. I guess. What do you need for that?
Hide in shadows is 20%.
All right, let's see if you can.
Do I roll or you?
I roll. Yeah. Yeah. You move past it. It doesn't attack you as you move past. The corridor is pretty, as you can see by the drawing. The corridor is like 30 foot wide, and there's a small combat going on in the center. So you kind of like get to the side and move around it. It does not seem to notice you at all. And then finally, just climbing up is Finch. You see the party about 30 feet deep into this thing, engaged with the warrior, doing a decent job, I guess.
She's kind of dumbfounded to see like the wizard up there with the dagger. She's gonna try and go for it and just take out the sword, and see if she can get in on the action. But with a 7, I don't think so.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you draw your sword and run forward. I mean, maybe you don't quite get close enough to get a blow in this round, because you got to move so far or whatever. So you come in with the sword, and you find yourself not close enough at the end of this round. And the creature is now going to attack. It's got 2 opponents on it. So I'm going to do this. If it rolls a even number, it's going to be against the dwarf. If it rolls odd, it's going to be against the magic user. It rolled odd, so it swings at you, but with a 3, it misses terribly. Your dagger bends off its armor. It kind of takes its arm to swipe at you, and you're already moved. So it completely misses Al. And coming into the next round. Is anybody doing missiles or magic?
No.
Nope. Okay, so let's roll initiative again, Harry. Oh, it got a 1.
6.
All right, you go first. So I'm just gonna last person that engaged was Al. So you go first. You've now got 3 party members with you. 2 party, I should say.
11, not quite good enough.
Yeah, no, you're stabbing at it. You're like, no, the armor's tough right there. So then you stab it in an even tougher part of the armor, and it deflects off. Okay, in the back with your thief, you can try to attack it.
Yes, I'm creeping up behind it, and at just the right moment, I take a swing, trying to knock its feet out from under it.
Okay, I'm gonna
roll a mighty 4.
A 4. Okay,
Yep.
I was gonna say I rolled.
Oh, you rolled?
No. I rolled just to make sure that you were, because you didn't actually sneak past it, but I rolled a move silent for moving up behind it. And you got 3%, so you succeeded, so you get that +4. But if you,
Not good enough.
Yeah, not good enough even with that. Yeah, you swing down at its legs, and maybe you don't get close enough, or it steps to the side as it attacks the magic user, and there's a lot of movement going on because there's like 4 people surrounding this thing, and you miss. So back to the dwarf, Tony, with the 4.
Yep, she will try again, hopefully. That is probably going to miss. Let me look. Yep, that will miss.
Yeah, okay. And our elf?
Just gonna hack at it again, or try to. 16.
You need a 14 total. Everybody needs a 14.
So let's see. For 2 damage.
All right. Okay. I mean, this thing's pretty heavily armored. It looks like you guys keep it in the armor areas, but that breaks a piece off, and you can tell that that some of the rotten flesh falls to the ground. You guys can smell the stink. And it's now going to spin around and try to attack the elf since you just chopped into it. Oh no, hold on. Didn't it already go? It went before you, right? No, it rolled a 1 that round. I got you. Okay,
nope,
so
you got a 1.
All right. It rolls a 19. That's definitely going to hit you.
Yeah, definitely.
And unfortunately, you feel this undead touch your soul in a way that's can't truly be described by anyone who's never experienced a sensation, as one level is drained from your body. So you are now level 2. And does do So you will lose, 6 hit points.
Okay.
And you're now second level. So basically what that means, it doesn't affect your attack bonuses because of the level that you're at, but you will lose your second level spell, which is... I gotta find you now to see what your spell was.
The detect invisible, I think.
Yeah, detect invisible. Yeah, so you'll lose that spell.
Okay.
Yeah. And oh my god.
That hurt.
Yeah, that really hurt. You lost 6 hit points. So that's off your 12. Wow, you're okay. And you can't get that back because it's through healing.
Yeah, that's okay. Oh, damn.
I mean, through healing. You can get it back by leveling up, but that's probably not going to happen in this session. So yeah, you scream in some words in Elvish, or maybe it's only in your head, who knows, as you feel yourself wither a bit inside, and know the true taste of undeath. And yeah, into the next round. Is anybody casting a spell or using a missile weapon? Nope. Okay, so Harry, initiative. 5. Ugh.
3.
Oof, okay. At this point, tasting the elf, it's probably going to go after somebody else. So I'm going to roll this d6, and we'll see what goes after in this order. Oh my god, dwarf doesn't like demi-humans, and roll a 20. So it hits the elf, and then as the elf staggers back, it like lunges forward with its greasy hand and grabs onto your your exposed part of your flesh, and you feel your beard curl up. It was finally starting to look a little nicer, and yeah, it gets crackly again. So you actually lose a d8 hit points. Oh, you only lost 1 hit point though. But
Oh wow, okay.
That was actually very good for you. So I think for a dwarf from third to second, the only major change is the hit points. So you just lose 1 hit point.
All right.
But you are on second level now, so it won't be as cool when you're trying to pick up like dwarf dudes in the bar. Because you're only second level. You can't boast. Level. All right, so that was the creature's turn. Since you just got drained, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, Philantis, it's seeing first, she sees the elf, just turn pale, paler than normal. And then this creature turns on her and grabs hold of her, and she kind of coughs out as maybe she's choking on something. And she goes, "We've got to defeat this thing. It's stronger than I thought." And she will swing at it. Hot dog, that's going to hit for 4 points again.
Nice. All right. Yeah, you smash into it. Quite strong hit, and it staggers back a little bit. A big chunk of its armor falls from its side, and like the guts open up, and you can see some kind of what are now kind of shrunken but rotten intestines kind of fall out, and they're dangling on the ground out of this creature as it kind of staggers back. And we've got now Finch.
So she's just kind of gonna kind of wipe her mouth on the back of her sleeve, and just very angry at this thing now, and just kind of lets out a sort of an infuriated scream and just slashes at it again. But misses horribly with a 4.
Oh no. Okay, Al.
A fighting retreat.
Okay.
Hit it. 2 points of damage.
Okay, you stab into it finally and find a weak spot. And it actually, you cut in, and now you see this opening where the intestines are, and you stab right there, and they just plop on the ground and nastily spread on the ground. And it actually pauses for a second, and you think it's going to fall over, but it's still standing, apparently. God knows how.
And during that pause is when I take my hasty retreat.
Yeah. Are you going back towards the entrance or deeper into the shadows?
Back toward the entrance.
Okay. All right, so you move back. Probably for you, because you have no armor on, you can probably, even with the fighting retreat, you can probably move almost all the ways back. And finally, this round, Femalita.
Femalita yells, "Get out of the way!" How big is this thing? It's human-sized, right?
Yep, it's a human. Yep.
I see what you...
I'm very strong. I'm behind it.
Yeah.
I'm charging it with the intention of shoving it off the cliff.
I mean, the cliff's 30 feet away.
I'm pushing it.
Oh, you're going to grab it and try to run with it?
Yeah.
All right. Sure. Why not? All right, make an attack roll first, and then we'll do some kind of strength.
3.
Okay. So, yeah. You go, get out of the way, and you like run at it and slip on the intestines and did fall on the ground as it steps to the side. It's actually staggering towards the wall to find something to stand on, and somehow it avoids you. And you're now flat on, well, you're not mechanically, it's not an issue, but you're basically down for a second. And yeah, that's that round. So initiative for next round.
3.
It also got 3 simultaneous. So even if you kill it, it'll still get an attack. I'll just go with you since you just missed it. So go ahead, Femelita.
I'm stumbling around, slipping, and I grab my balance and just charge at it, trying to push it against that wall that it was at, hitting it with the Morning Star and rolling a 12.
12 doesn't hit unless you have any modifiers. 14 is what you need.
Nope.
Yeah. It's
Oh wait, strength modifier to hit plus 3.
Yeah, 100%.
Nice.
All right, cool. Yeah, you smash into it with your shoulder, and it rams into the wall, and actually, you hear like kind of that gurgling sound that it's been making all along stop, and it falls in a heap on the ground, finally having truly died. And it's dead.
Finally, thank God.
Atlantis quits her coughing fit, and she looks over towards the elf, and she goes, "Maybe it's a good time for you to drink some of that warm water that we got, and see if it helps you."
You know what? I'll do that. I don't think it's gonna make a change, but the wounded pride just need a drink.
Yeah, it's not warm anymore, but it's definitely got good minerals and stuff. So good mineral water good for you, keep you healthy. Yeah, it doesn't do anything.
No, figured, but it's just like okay, just
I mean,
kind of defeated.
Yeah.
Carefully make my way back into the cave and see if I can retain that dart that I threw in the darkness.
Yeah, do you want to light up? You probably can't see it because it's in the dark. Do you want to light up a torch or something? Or have one of the demi-humans go in there?
Well, in my infinite wisdom, I didn't bring torches.
I'll help you look for it.
Yeah, you can walk forward, and you actually, the dart goes, because you have to do it with a lot of strength, clearly trying to get into the creature. So it probably went like another 30 or so feet in. So you go in there, and you can with your infravision.
Oh, wait, I do have a lantern, but
okay, that's fine. Either way, it's safe. And you can see actually, even once you walk to the dart, you can actually see that so now that's roughly about 60 or so feet in, plus you can see another 30 or so feet from the lantern. You can see that this thing goes in even further. It's still long, like you don't see any end to the corridor.
I'm going to have James, my cleric. He's going to go at the body of this creature and just kind of poke around at it and see if he finds anything that would be of any interest.
Okay. Let's actually see if you find anything of
we're
interest.
going to try and get the rest of the crew up here.
Yeah, little by little, everybody can climb
the
up.
Torch bearers.
Yeah. Let's see. Does the creature? Well, it has a rusty sword, like I said, beaten up armor, so none of that's really that useful to you. Let me see. Maybe it is useful. If you had nothing, it'd be useful. Let me do a quick treasure type.
Is the sword still usable though?
I would say that you could use it, but it's only going to do a D4.
Yeah. My thief John will take it just for a backup or whatever.
Okay, yeah, it's just a rusty sword, but probably if you brought it into town and had it, resharpened and cleaned up, it'd probably be back to normal. But we'll say to do a D4 for now.
All right.
So yeah, you check the body, and besides it being just gross and nasty, you don't really find anything else of value. The armor is way too beat up to be worthwhile. The sword is, like I said, useful, but rusty. You don't find any treasures on it or anything. From what you can tell, this armor and stuff, especially maybe a dwarf or an elf that's long lived, would know that the style and such of this armor is quite old, probably good 100 years. But there's no like crests on it or anything, so you're not really sure where this thing came from. And yeah, once everybody's up and about, and let's get, I guess, some marching order. me get my little sheet out here so I can do this. So who wants to? So this is very wide. It's like at least 30 feet wide. So if anybody wants to, you can walk 2 to 3 abreast if you want, or you can do one at a time. I'm assuming 2 is the normal way to go, but if you guys want to do 3, you can do that. And let's say 2. So who's in the front row?
Yeah, Finch is going to be in the front because she's completely in denial of what just happened. Just not pretending like none of her strength was just sapped out by an undead creature.
Yeah, yeah. Elves have pride, right? So next to Finch.
Well, I would stand next to you, but if we're both standing in front, the dwarves won't be able to see what's going on. So maybe behind you.
That's fair.
So you want to put a dwarf in the front?
Yeah, I mean, Philanthus will go up front.
Okay, second row.
I guess the second row will be the thief and myself.
Yep. Okay.
Put the porters and the rest in the back.
Okay. And Al. Okay. Yeah, and then we'll put the rest of the guys in the back. Yeah, I mean, even with this configuration, you'll have enough light. I don't know if you want to, Al, if you want to carry the lantern, or if your torchbearer does or whatever. It goes 40 feet out. So you guys, if you stay relatively close, they can be behind you with the lantern. They'll just be casting shadows forward.
Yeah, I'll hand the lantern to Bob.
Okay. All right, so
Philanthus is going to suggest to the second row to let me and the elf stay at least 10, 15 feet ahead of them.
Okay, for the infravision.
Well, if we do run into something else like that, don't charge it, and I can throw a web out.
Yes, because I don't want to have to go through one of those coffin fits again. And the elf, he's still looking a little pearl.
But if you engage it, I can't web without trapping you.
Okay, good. So you guys get you spend 10 minutes, whatever, figuring out your order and kind of getting yourselves cleaned up. And you do a lantern, right?
Yeah, Bob's got a lantern.
Okay, and cool. Anybody doing a torch, or just one light source is all you got for everybody? That should be fine.
I'll give the guy at the back, the cleric, carry one, I guess. They're at the back.
Okay. Excellent. All right, good. So you guys, start to make your way down this tunnel. Again, it's a strange kind of grayish stone. Now the dwarves are up here kind of inspecting it. It's definitely not dwarven made. And you note from climbing the face of it that it's actually similar to what was out there. What seemed to be the case is that maybe this kind of stone kind of was a layer above like the more natural kind of bedrock, and that's what was breaking off when you guys were climbing. It's kind of just this like flat gray stone with no markings. You don't see there's no cobbles. It's like literally just flat. How it was made, you're not really 100% sure. It is very flat though, so you're walking in not at an angle or anything. You're just kind of walking straight in, and you're able to walk, we'll say at least another 120 or so feet. When in front of you, just at the edge of the lantern light, you see that it's going to open up into a room. So that would be and you get to the edge of the room, and you kind of as you kind of move up to it, you can see this room is about 60 to 80 feet wide. It's a square. In the dead center of the room is a spiral staircase going up. It seems to be made out of some kind of metal. By the way, you're traveling north just to make life easy. Probably not actually traveling north, but just so it's easy for directions. To the east, so to your right, there's a passage. It's basically in the center of the east wall, and continuing north is another passage, just like the one you're in. So keep in mind these ceilings are tremendously high. You're talking about like 60-foot ceilings. So this room is actually like a big cube. It's the best way to probably describe it. And then that spiral staircase goes up and then penetrates into the ceiling.
So we've got an exit to the north, an exit to the east, and a spiral staircase in the center.
That's correct. The western wall this whole room is exactly like the rest of the space, this kind of gray stone. But the western wall looks like there may have been something there. It's hard to say because that wall's collapsed in. And there's a mixture of kind of that grayish stone with what looks like kind of the bedrock, and then also it's actually kind of some other like kind of minerally stone, like the kind of earth stone for sure, in that direction.
Does the staircase look climbable, or is it rusted like the armor on that ware?
Yeah, so you approach the staircase and you're looking at it. It looks practically what you would consider brand new. Like it's basically, it's not even dusty, and it's like a shiny, and you're kind of looking at it. It's basically some kind of a steel, but a very, very clean steel, like steel like you've never seen before, like incredibly fine.
Guys, my idea is we take the staircase, because breaking down doors is going to make some noise. We're trying to open these heavy doors, probably going to make some noise and attract something in here. But that's just my thing.
Just to be clear, there's no doors in the passageways. They're just open passageways.
Oh, they're just straight open passageways?
Yeah, at least for now, you don't see any doors. I mean, then this way it's just hallways going out. Just so
well, that changes it.
Yeah.
We can go in any direction then.
Yeah, right now you don't see any doors. Not from the room you're in.
We could still take the staircase just to kind of see where it leads, and depending on what we see at the top, we can always, go one of the passages.
Philantis will look at the suggestions that you make, and she says, well, I could take my way real quick and just go down these eastern and northern passages just a little bit, just by myself, to see what I see ahead, and then come back real quick.
We can start making our way up the staircase, and you're going to take a peek down those passages to make sure nothing's following us.
Yep, and then I'll catch right up with you.
Sounds like a plan.
I will follow you, Philantis, just to make sure you're safe.
Well, then you're going to have to be quiet. I know your footfalls are a little bit heavier than mine.
She might be big and bulky, but she's very soft-footed. Okay, so yeah, you guys can definitely do that. The staircase again is especially if you're trying to like not make any noise, you're going slowly. You're definitely gonna have to go single file clearly up the stairs. I'm just gonna go like my columns the way they are, so I'm basically gonna go. Well, Fuentes isn't there, but it'll be Finch, then Al, then the retainers kind of going up the stairs, and then the very back will then become just for now, anyways, Finch and Fuentes. So yeah, you guys start walking up the stairs. You don't want to go too fast so you don't lose your party members. But so you will say by the time the first person gets to the top of the stairs, which would be I guess Finch, the hallways will likely be checked. So I'll just do that. The hallways first. So you go to the east. I don't know how far down you want to go, but I'll say in one turn you can go about you can probably check everything in a turn. You're going to have to go down about 30 or 40 feet and then come right back. When you do that, you kind of go down to the east. You don't see anything, except more hallway. You go about 30, 40 feet, and that's about it. You can see, though, kind of with your infravision. Of course, the thief can't say that. They're just kind of following behind you. You can see the end of what looks like maybe the end, or at least further down this hallway to the east. It looks like there's a collapse. It doesn't look like it's blocking you from going there, but it looks like that there's some crumbled stone. You can definitely see
All
that.
right.
Assuming you want to just check both ways quickly, like your original plan, you go back to the main room and then go north. That one goes, again, just about, when you're standing at 40 foot and looking out with your infravision, you can see that it looks like it probably might open up into a chamber, again, with no door. But it's hard to really tell from this distance. Maybe so that's probably like 100 foot up or something. There's a door there. Not a door, a chamber, I should say. Sorry.
Yeah, I should just do that with Malika, and as they go back, she'll just say, well, at least there's none of those booger bears hiding to reach out and grab us again. I guess we better catch up with the rest of them.
Let's move quickly.
Yes, you guys have that quick discussion and come back, having not really seen anything moving or any kind of monsters or anything in any kind of treasure or anything like that, really. Just as you are, Finch, you're popping your head up into the where the spiral staircase comes up. You are looking into a huge space. It's something like 200 or so feet wide. It is. Actually, I'll show you this way, so you can kind of get an idea where you are, because you can probably see it at this point. Okay. So you see on the map here, see there's a big hole in the side, on the right-hand side, on the side of the thing. That's above you. So basically, you just came up and you're kind of looking up at that. So this is a huge, huge, tall ceilings. You can see a giant hole in the side. So there's plenty of light coming in here, you know, as you kind of pop up. You can see that there is, or were, but there is still on some level together, large shelves, like something like 100-foot tall shelves. And you can even see the remnants of ladders scattered about. And this was some kind of a library. Like, there's just like books that are mostly, they look like they've been burned. Some look like they're just like weather beaten from like snow and rain and ice, just scattered everywhere. You also see several kind of scattered around, but, you know, kind of right near that hole. You see, well, I don't want to call it a pile because it's not like a neat, but there's a bunch of animals that appear to be dead. Because they're just kind of laying there, kind of piled on top of each other, and some of them are near each other. You see things like elk and deer. You see a large bear. You know, from where you're standing, you can explore it more. But so basically, you're seeing a big pile of frozen animals that are kind of, again, not exactly a pile, but kind of thrown on one side. The rest of the space seems to be mostly, for lack of a better word, like a destroyed library. And the spiral staircase continues to go up even further. It goes up through that whole thing, and then it looks like it goes into another layer above.
Okay, so I'll turn and just tell the others that it looks clear from what I can tell. And I'm going to step off of the staircase and just kind of take a bit of a poke around some of the shelves just to see if there's anything that's, you know, not completely destroyed by the weather or whatever happened here.
Okay, yeah, excellent. Yeah, you can start to look around. Is Al coming up too and looking around?
Yeah.
Right.
When I see the books, I'll start going through them to see if there are any books of renown or anything that's worth salvaging.
Excellent. Yeah, so slowly but surely, everybody kind of comes up and starts searching around. So let's do it this way. Oh, that's okay. So including the dwarf thief that you guys finally get up here as well. Searching through the books, you guys actually do locate a bunch of stuff. Actually, you locate. There's no cleric in the party, right? But you would clearly know. You locate. Oh, you do. Okay, perfect. You locate 3 clerical scrolls.
All right.
And 3 magic user scrolls. So I'm going to put in the chat what they are. I mean, if you want, yeah, if somebody with read magic can make the magical scrolls worthwhile. The clerics don't need to do anything; they can just use their scrolls.
I do have read magic.
I have read magic too. So.
I think the way I'm not sure this is true, but I think it doesn't just do one scroll. I think it does you can read a bunch of scrolls. We'll just say that's the case. It's a one shot. I'm trying to remember how it works. Actually, let me look at the rule just while we're here. But those are the scrolls. So if you do need to decide, then that's kind of what your choices are if you want to make them work. But let me just quickly look at read magic. You do have 2 castings of it. So
it lasts for a turn.
Oh, perfect. That's enough time, I think, to do. I can't imagine it would take that long to.
Once a scroll is looked at with read magic, it becomes able to be understood and read at that time later without the spell.
Yeah. So I would say
you would read magic, look at all the scrolls, and then later you can use them.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that's totally fine. But I think it would just allow that one person. So you guys want to divide up the scrolls, I guess, however you want to do it. And then if you want to both cast, or one person could take all the scrolls, and however you want to do it. I don't think it makes it readable for everybody, right? Just for...
It's just for the person who casts it.
Yeah, so it kind of comes down to if you guys both want to use your read magics now, or if one of you do, or however you want to do it. But that's what's available as far as scrolls. Too bad there's no scrolls read magic on it. It's like when you keep wishing for more wishes. Yeah, and the cleric scroll, of course, just works. And anything that's, even if things are above your level, you can still cast it if it's on a scroll in BX. So you can cast any one of the spells from the scrolls. Okay, so that's searching through that. That takes, we'll say, 3 turns. So 3 times. Just as you're kind of doing this, although maybe you weren't paying attention to it anyways because it's light in here, the torch sputters out. Not that you need it in here, just so you know. Does anybody want to explore more than Jat? You have stairs going up. You have the animals and the hole in the wall. Clearly, that's up high though. If you want to get there, you have to climb to it.
Yeah, I'm staring at the animals very cautiously. I'm very concerned that there are these dead animals. Do they look like they were? Is it like one of each type, like it was a zoo, or is it more like these are wild animals that came in the hole and somehow, for some reason, mysteriously died right at the edge of the hole?
Okay, so there's multiples of different types. So you see like 2 or 3 elk. There's only one bear, but you see multiple elks. You see a decent amount of those, and some of different types. So there's like the ones with the big horns, like the males, and you see some smaller ones. You even see, you're noticing now as you're really staring, you see a couple of wolves. Most of the type of animals, medium to largish animals you might see in this kind of area, you see a selection of them. And as you're kind of looking at them, and you probably didn't notice it so much before, maybe you noticed it the most with the polar bear, you can see that all of them seem to be like hurt. They have like either large gashes in them. I mean, you're not walking up to them, right? You're just doing it from a distance.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So they all seem to be injured. Without getting closer to know for sure, it would be hard to know if those injuries killed them, but it wasn't like they're just sitting there perfectly fine and dead.
And they're like long dead, I imagine.
Well, they're frozen. You notice as you look at them, you see that they are like. You really start to notice like the glimmering of the sun, because remember the sun's coming from that direction off of them. They look almost like, even though it is cold in here clearly, but they don't look rotted at all. Like it's almost like if an animal dies in the dead of winter and it's out in the freezing cold, sometimes in the spring, when you find it, it's still solid. That's how these look.
They could have died last week or last year.
That's right. As long as they were frozen, it's hard to say, when they died exactly without getting much closer to them. And even then would be difficult probably.
Do the injuries look like another animal, or does it look like they were like killed by a, let's say, humanoid?
You do want to go check them out, like closer?
Yeah, I kind of do.
Okay. Yeah, so you walk up to them, and it looks like it's pretty clear, the first couple that you look at, that the marks in them, I mean, you've been around enough to know what a sword or an arrow looks like. It doesn't look like these were killed by weapons. It looks like they were killed by some kind of animal. Probably a large-ish animal, because what might be like rakes from claws or teeth marks are large gashes. They're not like a little thing, like a sword makes a big gash, but not like something the sword would do. Definitely something larger than that.
All right, and these animals couldn't have just walked in through that hole, right? The hole's up in the side of the wall. Something brought them here.
Yeah, and they're keeping them in cold storage. And as I eyeball the staircase warily, it might be up there.
Yeah.
And how wide is the staircase? Just normal width?
It's wider than like a staircase would be to us, like a person, like a normal person. It's probably more like a staircase in the commercial building, like maybe like 8 to 10 feet wide, probably about 10 feet wide.
Okay, wow, okay.
Yeah, so it's not like a little staircase in the house. It's big.
And the stairs themselves are commensurately big as well.
Yes. They're not super tall. Like it wasn't difficult for the dwarf to climb up them, but they're maybe a little bit taller than normal. Yeah, like a tall human probably would barely notice the difference, but they're mostly wide versus tall. Yeah. So if you having been maybe or known about or seen like castles and stuff, it looks like things are overly large here, more because the grandeur than the inhabitants being big, I guess is the best way to say it. From what you can tell anyway so far.
But it could still accommodate something large enough to kill a bear.
Yeah. Something large definitely could come up and down the stairs, but it doesn't look like it was made per se for that.
Oh,
I'm assuming it's somewhat large if it killed the bear with like its fangs.
Right.
So as you're kind of looking around and having a conversation, Al, you notice kind of on the ground. At first, you think it's like an icicle or something because you just see like the glimmer of it. But then as you're kind of staring at it, you see that it's kind of like more flat. It's almost like a plate, but it seems like nearly invisible because it's clear. It's maybe like 10 feet away from you on the ground. And you actually see there's a pile. I'm gonna say a pile, like they're stacked up, but like there's a few pieces that look similar. Almost like I don't know if glass exists in this world, but almost like if you broke a window, like the pieces of glass laying on the ground, that's kind of what it looks like, but larger than that. Each piece is probably the size of a dinner plate, so like 12 to 14 inches, we'll say.
I go prod that with the dagger.
Okay, yeah. So you go look at it. As you're looking at it, you notice that they're definitely not completely round. Make a d20 roll under your intelligence if you can.
Let's see, intelligence is 13. No, 19.
Yeah.
Now I roll a 19.
Of course, not for combat. Yeah, it's you can't quite place. You feel like you kind of have seen something like this before, but you can't really place where. There's about a total of 10 of these things.
Guys, there's a collection of these glass things over here. I don't know what they are. They might be important.
Yeah, anybody who wants to look at them can try to roll a d20 under their int.
Yeah, magic is
I will
17.
carefully pick one up and not understand it at all. Just drop it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have James the cleric look at it too, if that's okay.
Okay, yeah, one per player, let's say.
Oh my gosh, I rolled a 19.
Okay, so nobody.
A try.
No.
16. So
Well, you guys are-
probably not more than Al already told us.
Yeah, so you
It's glass.
one thing you definitely do notice is when you picked it up, it was not particularly heavy, so you definitely don't think it's glass. And when you dropped it, it didn't break or anything. Like it just hit the ground. Like it went clink at the ground. It didn't make a clinking sound. It actually hit the ground. Didn't make any kind of metallic sound. And it didn't break or anything. So you know it's not super fragile.
Does it look like they might have came from the hull?
From the hull. It's hard to say. It's kind of they're not near the wall. They're kind of scattered around by the animals, really. So, and the roof doesn't have like if you look up at the roof to see if it's like a tile or whatever, it doesn't look like it. No.
Do these things seem like they might have been magical?
Well, I mean, they're nearly invisible and pretty strong. So maybe,
Is there any uniformity to them, like the same size or shape, or are they all different?
Yeah, they actually seem to be roughly the same shape, but they are in different sizes. Some are slightly smaller and thinner, and some are slightly larger and thicker, and that's pretty consistent. So like the smaller ones are always thinner and the larger ones are always thicker. And they kind of taper. So they start like let's say there's a top and a bottom, the top is thinner and then it goes down to a thicker bottom.
So they don't look broken in any way. They just look like different sizes.
That's correct. They don't look broken at all. When you start to really look at them, they look almost the same shape. Like when you pick two up that are close to the same size and put them on top of each other, they match.
Weird.
You know what? I'll use my scroll of detect magic just because I want to know if there's like more to this than we're seeing.
Okay, you're going to do that, or you're asking? I don't know if you're discussing.
I'm gonna do that. I think.
Okay. Okay. Let me just say exactly how they word it. Okay. Okay, so you cast detect magic. It's good for 20 minutes, so keep that in mind. I'll keep that in mind. I'll make a little note of it here. Typically, anything that's magical will have like a glow around it, and you can see that it's magical. These do not glow. You see the scrolls glow. Clearly, you know they're magic, so you know the spell worked. And if anybody had a magic item like a sword or whatever, it glows, to your eyes. But these are not magical in that sense.
That just made them more mysterious to me.
like they may have been made by magic, but they're not magic. You would know the spell if something is made by magic, like if let's say a genie made you a horse to ride, the horse would not detect as magic because the horse is not magic, right? Because if it's a real horse, if it was an illusion, it would, if that makes sense. So you know that they could have been formed by magic, but they're not magical in that sense.
It also means they're not dangerous, so that's a relief.
I mean, they're definitely a curiosity and could have value maybe just because they're weird, but you're not quite sure what they are at this moment.
I'll pocket one. Or a matching pair, should I say.
Okay. There's 11 total. So
maybe there's collectors for this.
Yeah, never know, right? Okay, so just write down two invisible or two glass pieces, or whatever you want to call them right now. Whatever you think they are.
How big are they?
The biggest ones are about 14 inches. They're not quite round. They're kind of like they're longer than they are wide. They're like rectangles, basically. They're not exactly rectangles. They're rounded, but they're...
It may be huge pieces of somebody's scale mail.
Maybe they're like actual glasses.
Yeah, when you say that, Al, or technically Scott said it, whatever. People that are fighters or fighter types like dwarves, whatever, that have looked at armor, kind of look at them and they think that's not a bad way to describe them. Like they look almost like scales.
Oh, scales.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that could kill a bear. Some giant lizard.
Okay, that's unsettling.
I've got a potion of invisibility. I'm willing to let the thief use if he wants to sneak up the rest of the stairs and take a peek.
Well, I don't know that I want to go all the way to the top without you, but I could if I make noise.
At least you'll be invisible.
Yeah, and they'll, I guess we'll have if we need to run, we don't have anywhere to go. There's a cliff to our back. All right, I'll do it. Sure.
Well, just remember when you come back down and you're still invisible, don't touch me on the shoulder. Touch the elf on the shoulder and scare him.
Okay. Yeah, so you would know, just because I know some people are new to BX, that so basically, unlike the invisibility spell, which in BX is basically permanent until you attack something, a potion only lasts for a certain amount of time. So it's 6 turns plus a d6. So it lasts about an hour to 2 hours. I roll it secretly. So you can come back visible just by attacking something. But if you want to stay invisible, then you will stay invisible until you attack somebody or until the duration is up. So I'll just keep track of that. So you're going to drink the potion?
Sure.
Okay.
I've never done this before. Does it feel weird? Looking at Al.
Yeah, as you drink it and you say that, and as you do, you kind of fade away and you're invisible. It takes you a second probably to get your balance. Because you can't see your feet or whatever, or you want to reach out and like hold the wall or the railing to walk and you can't see it. But it only takes a minute and or so, and you feel comfortable, because it is magic, so it kind of gives you the kind of ability to deal with the fact that you're invisible. And yeah, you make your way towards the stairs. I'm assuming you want to move silent.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you're creeping your way up the stairs. They are metal, so you don't hear any wood, cracking, whatever. And everybody's kind of downstairs, I guess, huddling, waiting for you to come back. And yeah, you walk up the stairs. What is upstairs? Let's look. So as you kind of come up, this floor is now you're kind of in the floor above where the hole is. I'll go back and try to kind of so you can see the whole thing. It's not going to let me do it now. I'm looking at the wrong one though. Yeah, so that's basically the top of it. There is the ceiling itself is, you can see that circle on there. That looks like kind of a giant bowl, but it's made of glass apparently. You can see through it, but maybe it's like a little dirty, so you can kind of see it's still there. And it is kind of, for lack of a better word, it's kind of absorbing the sun and kind of like a magnifying glass. I mean, you probably have seen a magnifying glass or something to that effect, And the
I
lens.
have a spyglass.
Oh yeah, so you have an idea that it's basically a lens, and essentially it's kind of it's not like a laser, but you can see that a brighter part, like almost like a column of light, is coming down into a big dish, and that dish.
Oh, she didn't take a shower. I don't know.
And that dish is kind of like catching the light and reflecting it to one of the walls. The walls are stark black. And where the light is kind of hitting the wall is, you can see like sparkles, almost like you're looking at the night sky. The other thing that you immediately notice, so basically you're looking, again, this area is much smaller. It's probably like 100 feet wide. This thing's in the center. You're kind of like almost right next to it when you come up. You can see that right below where the light's on the wall, kind of like laying on the floor, is a sword. So you've got like this reflector thing shining light on a wall. It's kind of showing that pattern, and then sitting on the floor, kind of a few feet off the wall, like we'll say 10 feet off the wall, is a sword. Yeah.
And just to be clear, this is the top of the building, right?
That's
the light's coming in through the ceiling. All right.
That's correct. The light's coming through the ceiling. Yeah.
There's no one else here. I look carefully and quietly.
You do not see anyone here. Nope, nothing.
Sorry,
looks empty aside from what I just described. Yeah, you see a sword, you see the light come. Of course, the room is lit, so the light's coming through the ceiling. Even though it's kind of focused in a column, it's still lighting the whole floor. So while it is a little bit trippy, especially being invisible and this place being like matte black, you've probably never seen anything as black as this. You can definitely see that as far as you can tell, there's nothing else in the space besides no creatures, no doors, no nothing. You just that sword and the wall.
And the around the walls is sparkling sort of like stars all the way around, not just where the light's hitting, or is that
just where the light is hitting?
Just where the light's hitting.
Yeah, and you look and you can see that, because I think that's what you're going to ask me. It looks like there's underneath where the dish is. It's on like a pedestal, and there's a device to turn it.
Did this star pattern look familiar at all? Do you see any of the typical? No.
I'm gonna say, well, you know what? Make a d20 roll under your wisdom or your intelligence, but add 3 to the roll. It will be a difficult check.
I rolled a 2.
Oh, so 5.
And my wisdom is 6.
Wow. Okay. You look at it, and you see some constellations that seem like pieces of it that you're like, oh, this is the night sky. And you're looking at it, you're like, no, that's not exactly right. I don't know if I disappeared for a second because my phone just rang into my iPad. But yeah, it looks like the night sky, but not exactly right. It looks wrong.
All right. Well, I don't know what this means. I shrug, and I guess I walk back down the stairs trying to be quiet, but not super like carefully. And I sneak up behind Phalantus and say, Phalantus! No, I don't. Phalantus! There's one up there.
When you do that, she jumps and almost slaps into the elf.
I describe the situation at the top. I think we came for treasure, and I think I see some treasure up there. But it's pretty strange. It's awfully tempting to turn that knob on the light well thingy, reflective thingy. It's probably safer if we all go up.
Oh, let's go. He said treasure.
Okay. Yeah, so you guys make your way to the top. Let me just do something here. Oh, just as Finch is getting to the top, your detect magic spell is ending, but just as you get up there, you get a tiny bit of a glow, so you know that the sword is magical, and so is the device. But then it goes, the device, the reflector thing is magical.
Both magical, so if you're tempted, be aware.
Yeah. So basically, the light is shining like right over where the sword is, just to be clear. And you could turn. You imagine if you turn the knob that's on the column, it would probably change where the light's shining. Everybody kind of piles up. I mean, you can certainly all get up here. The space is huge. And yeah, what do you guys want to do?
Does the wall that the light is shining against, that doesn't happen to be the same wall as that has a hole in it below, does it? Is the light shining in the same direction as the hole? That's what I'm trying to ask.
No, the opposite actually.
I point out some of the constellations that I recognize, but it's all wrong. Well, I can grab the sword. I shrug, but no one sees me because I'm still invisible.
That's right.
Like Finch is having a bit of a moment because on the one hand there's a very shiny looking sword, and she's very tempted to grab it or mess around with the magical device. She can't quite make up her mind which of the two she wants to do, and also she's incredibly unwise, so the idea that either of those things could be dangerous does not enter her mind. So she's just kind of standing there contemplating which of the two shiny things she wants to go for. And let's see. And she's gonna go for the device. And just kind of saunters over there to look if there's buttons to push or a general messing about to be done.
Yeah, so you can see that there's like basically gears on it, and if you were to, you could imagine there's like a crank. So you've probably seen this, let's say, on a well, right? On top of a well, you crank it and it rolls the bucket up from the bottom. So you kind of know. I mean, that's simple mechanics. You can see the gears, and you would imagine, without much thought, that if you were to turn the handle, the reflector dish, we'll call it, that's scooping the light and throwing it against the wall, would turn and shine on a different part of the wall.
Yeah, she's gonna crank the thing and just see what happens. Just out of pure childish curiosity at 141.
Yeah,
It's
young elf. Do you want to go clockwise or anti-clockwise?
Clockwise.
Okay, excellent. It's always a good choice. So, go ahead and roll a d6. 5. Okay, so make a save versus Death Ray.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Um, so what am I trying to get?
Equal to or over.
Jesus, I got a 2.
A 2 is probably not going to succeed.
No.
Okay,
No.
yeah. So
God damn it.
you walk up to the machine and you start to turn it. And when you do, everybody's probably watching, either you or the light on the wall. The light starts to move, in sequence with the dish, and then all of a sudden, you guys smell the smell of sulfur, and there's just a pile of dust where the elf was, as you are disintegrated by the power of the stars. And,
Oh my god!
and then there was 4. However, luckily you still have a retainer you can play. So your retainer has now been promoted.
Oh, wow. My retainer is level, 0.
Perfect.
It's fine. Perfect.
Now you have a challenge. Yeah, your retainer. You can play a retainer. So basically, you are disintegrated by the light beam. Though you did actually move it, and anybody watching the wall noticed that it is showing some slightly different constellations. It definitely revealed another part.
So was the elf just careless and moved the beam across her own body, or did it somehow like spark or something?
You would imagine that when she turned it, that there was like a reflection, basically from what you could see. It happened all happened very fast. She didn't move the whole thing around and hit herself. Right. She just moved it a little bit. You think basically there was some kind of a reflection off the wall, and the reflection came back and hit her. Almost like light bouncing and then coming straight back.
Right. Light bouncing off the pure black walls. That's creepy. All right. Well, the good thing is I'm invisible, so a stupid light won't hurt me. So I
Famous last words.
I am approaching the sword.
Well, we've got those big glass things
from the.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. So
what are you suggesting?
Did it disintegrate the big glass things that the elf had with them?
Oh yeah, every single thing that was on the elf is gone.
Those won't help then.
Yeah, there's literally nothing left.
Is the light still on the sword though?
No, the light is not on the sword, so maybe that was the benefit.
You moved it off.
Actually, he
Let the sacrifice count, people.
Yeah, he did. Hold on a second. Let me just check because I'm not sure if disintegrates magic items. Now that they just said that, it definitely disintegrated the scale pieces. But I'm wondering about, because don't you have a magic sword too?
Yeah, I do.
Let me just see.
And the 10+1 crossbow bolts.
Yeah, let me just quickly check. It's
I'll
not.
be right back, guys.
Okay, yeah, you guys. Let's actually take a 5-minute break anyway. Right at that point, if that's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Bio break.
Bio break. Yep. We'll just take a quick break, and I'll see if your sword got disintegrated or if you can give it to your retainer.
Okay, perfect. I need coffee after that shock. I've never been disintegrated by death rays before.
First time. Excellent. Perfect. Okay. I'm also going to grab a coffee. I'll see you in a minute.
Okay.
Okay. Is everybody back? Not yet.
Yeah, I'm back.
I'm here.
I'm back.
How about Ethan? Yep, Ethan's
I'm
back.
here.
Yep. Okay, cool. So after conferring with the expert book, which didn't tell me much, but I had to dig it out. Expert. I'm going to say that you were disintegrated in all your non-magical items. So basically the elf disappears into a pile of ash, but the magical sword that they owned and the 10 crossbow bolts that are magical fall to the ground. Also, if you were carrying any of those magical scrolls, those would not be disintegrated because it basically says one item, a non-magical item. So it says non-magical items only. So anything magical you had got disintegrated and did not get disintegrated, I should say. And but those scale pieces did. So essentially, if you want your retainer to have the +2 sword, 0 level human with +2 sword, can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Might as well.
You basically that's how first level adventurers are born, right there.
Philantis will look towards the magic user and go, well, you don't have a crossbow, do you? But you could, you like throwing darts. You could throw those bolts, I guess.
Exactly, because my retainer doesn't have a crossbow either.
Yeah. Somebody must have a crossbow, no? Well, I mean, they're valuable. You
No.
can stab somebody with it.
Could just, yeah, stab someone. It works.
Yeah, I mean, if you needed to and you want to use it as an improvised weapon, you could use it like a dagger. I don't think you could throw them, but you could definitely use them as a dagger. So yeah. So where were we? Were you going to scoop up that sword there, Femelita?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to go over there and look at it closely. And it looks like I've got some tongs, I think. Shovel. Tongs, yes. I will reach down. First of all, I'll look at it.
All right, sure. Yeah, that makes sense. I thought this had a. Oh no, okay. The sword is a beautiful, normal sword, long sword, or a, just like a standard one-handed sword for D&D. It is of a metal that is very thin. It looks to be of like extremely high quality steel, similar to the stairs, like this kind of steel that you've never seen the quality of before. And it's a very thin blade. The handle is simple but beautiful, and in the pommel there is a gem. It's not in a sheath; it's just lying there.
All right. Well, like I said, I take the tongs, and I'll being careful to avoid the light. I will bend down and grab the handle with the tongs and pull the sword back toward the middle of the room.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you can, the rest of the party sees it because when you grab stuff, it doesn't become invisible. So, yeah, they probably hear a scraping, and then you guys can see the sword dragging across. Yeah, you're totally able to do it. It feels slightly lighter than you would think it should, but then again, the steel is very thin, so maybe that accounts for it. And you drag it towards maybe where the rest of the party is. I guess that's where the middle of the room is, unless people are going to flee from it. You can all kind of look down on it sitting on the ground, and as described, it's basically a beautiful shiny blade, simple but kind of elegant handle, and there's a gem in the pommel that appears to be I didn't say what it was. It looks like it probably couldn't be, but it almost looks like a pearl because the size of it would just be ridiculous. It's like the size of a golf ball almost.
Well, since I was able to pull it away from the wall without anything bad happening, it must be safe. So I will reach down and pick it up.
Oh, fantastic. what could go wrong after somebody just got disintegrated? So yeah, you reach down and grab it. That's what I was about to do here. Hold on, I'm gonna look up your character. Let's see. Yes, as suspected, you are chaotic. Okay, fantastic. You grab the sword, and immediately you hear in your mind actually, does it speak out loud? Actually, oh no, it yells. Everybody hears it in a strange language that's similar to the elf language. There's no other elves, right? The elf is dead. Yeah, the elf would have had a chance of. Does anybody speak Elvish or elf? It should say on your sheet if you did. But it basically yells out, and mechanically, this sword is going to try to take. Oh, actually, no, you're chaotic.
I speak Sprite.
Okay, so lawful sword inflict 2d6 on a chaotic character. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
So you grab the sword, it basically is like, yeah. You take 5 points of damage. Yeah.
I'm still alive.
Yeah, and you know when you grab it that like this is not like a one-time thing. Like it's not like it shot a laser at you. Like you just holding it hurts you. So yeah, I'm assuming you let go of it, but that's of course.
Yeah, I drop it.
Yeah.
Ah!
Yeah. So you all heard it yell out in kind of an elvish tone. If you speak Pixie, you probably got the idea that based on the words, even though you probably don't understand exactly what it said, it didn't seem very happy about the person grabbing it.
Is the handle too hot for you?
It hates me. It hates everything.
Fair.
I say we destroy it.
Maybe
No.
just
And Philantis will go over and reach down and pick it up.
Okay. What's your alignment?
Use lawful.
Oh, all right. When you grab the sword, it feels good in your hand, and it is going to try to take you over though, because on first contact, sentient swords always try to take over the beer. So
dominate.
let us see. Control check. Determine the sword's will score. Determine the wielder's will score. So you need to add your strength and wisdom.
That'll be 24.
Oh, nice. Okay. If the character has less than full hit points, which you don't, right? You're still full hit points. You weren't hurt. So that's 24 is your will score. I already figured it out for the sword. Let me just open that document where the sword is. Where are you, sword?
It just hates the thieves' skills of ill repute.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's good, but let me just. I think I closed it after I killed the thief, or tried to kill the thief. Here we go. So you understand, even though it doesn't quite doesn't speak the same language as you. Your will is strong. So it believes that you are worthy to use it. It does actually. It speaks alignment tongue, which isn't a full language, but you get the feeling from what it says that you are a worthy bearer of the sword, and I will send you the sword's information. Its name is Gugnir.
Yeah, she holds it up and looks over towards the thief, and she just goes, "I think this was made for a dwarf, not you."
Malika spits on the ground. Keep your stinking sword.
Let's see. Sorry, let me send this over to Tony. It's right here, right? So it's an extraordinary sword. So it has various powers and stuff that you can make use of. Cool.
Huh. There's little point in messing with the mechanism further, since it's just going to fry us.
Sorry, I'm sending that. Okay.
Yep, I got it.
Okay, so hopefully that's all clear. So the sensory, yeah, I listed. So the sensory powers, I list how many times per day for the different ones. The one, oh, by the way, you immediately see the thief because you can see invisible objects, and that's unlimited.
Oh,
And I just kind of I put my thumb up to my nose and go, I know where you are.
I'll say just because it makes more sense this way that you can see the invisible objects, but you know they're invisible. You know what I'm saying? Like you see them, but they're kind of like faded. Otherwise, you would just not. Yeah, that seems more like it makes more sense because you technically have to be holding the sword and concentrating. It's not like you just walk around and see things. So, but the sword just immediately gives you that power, probably thinking that, whatever. And of course, the extraordinary power you can do once per day, and it is a +1 sword.
All right.
It's normal sword, so D8. That first part, by the way, won't affect you. That first line under the rest of it will affect everybody else, but it doesn't tell you that. So, yeah.
Yeah, she'll sheathe the sword she's been carrying, and just carry this one for now.
Okay. So let's do a quick thing here. Oh, that's funny. All right, almost as soon as the dwarf, because timing wise, basically as soon as the dwarf picks up the sword, everybody is struck with blindness, including the dwarf.
No.
Yeah, I guess the sword would probably tell you because you did power that it's actually a side effect of the sword, and that you just have to wait, and it will eventually go away. And you can tell the rest of the party or not, but that's basically what the sword tells you.
Oh yeah, once she probably hears the rest of them, say, we can't see. She'll say, I think it's something the sword did, even though it likes me better than it does the thief. It wanted to give me a little jolt, but we'll be okay momentarily.
Yeah, so fortunately I rolled really low, so it only took one turn before you got your sight back. So everybody slowly can see again. And once that's happened, you're all immune to the sword. It only happens the first time you see it. So just so you know what went on, basically there's a timer from the first time you see the sword, and then everybody who sees the sword goes blind for a certain number of turns. But in your case, it was only one turn. So yeah, so that just increases the clock on the wandering monster, so it didn't really affect you too much.
I told you that sword was no good.
Yeah, but now it seems fine, and you can still see the invisible thief, who is still invisible for a while. And yeah, you're in this room still. There's that device that seemed to have sent the elf somewhere, maybe somewhere not good. And I take too much joy in disintegrating. All right, I'm evil. Sorry.
So unless we have any volunteers to further manipulate the device, I think we need to go back down the stairs.
I think so.
Okay. All right, yeah. So you guys, go ahead.
The dwarf, she says, wait just a minute. The sword's speaking to me. It wants me to try something, and I'm going to use one of the uses of locate secret doors in this room as she's walking around holding it up in front of her.
Okay, perfect. You can do that. There are no exits from this room at all besides the stairs. So no secret doors, no nothing.
Well, I guess you're right. Maybe we should just go back downstairs.
I'll sweep some of the ashes in my little leather bag here so we can give him a proper burial somewhere.
Oh. See, because you're a magic user, I immediately thought, oh, you're going to try to make a potion out of some elf dust.
That's what I thought you were going to do. It's like, okay.
I just said we're saving it for a ceremony. I didn't actually do it yet, so you never know.
Yeah, I mean...
Oh, too funny. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so you guys take the stairs back down to that first room, which is as you left it. An empty, roughly 60-foot square cube. Of course, the stairs you just came down, and there's a passageway to the north, which you remember kind of goes about 100 feet or so. Then looks like it maybe opens up into a room, which you have not explored. And to the east, there was down about 100 feet. You saw a collapse, but it looked like you could still pass it.
Let's hurry toward that chamber to the north while I'm still invisible.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead because you're invisible, or are you just going to?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I mean, you can't really see better than anybody else, so you can be a little bit ahead of the light or whatever. So how do you guys want to rearrange it all? Because you've got, I don't know if you want to put the 0 level retainer in the front row.
No, Bert is very wise enough to know that that's not a good idea, so he's just gonna try and hide behind the dwarf.
He just
By
got
the
his
fact that
field
he's
promotion
probably like a
himself.
foot taller.
Field promotion.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so that's fine. So that actually moves the thief up because she wanted to be up because of the invisibility, anyways. So I'm gonna just swatch you. All right, and then we'll call the new guy Finch too. Okay, so you move forward again. It goes about 100 feet or so, and then it opens up into another room that looks basically identical. Though this room, as you're kind of looking around, there's a passageway to the north that you immediately see, and you can actually even see just from the light that you have in the room that the passageway to the north only goes about 20 or so feet, and then there's a door, a very large door. But in this room itself, it looks like there was a lot of objects in here that may have been made of wood and possibly like tapestries and things like that are hanging on the wall somehow, because you see lots of kind of moldering like tapestry near on the floor. And you see what was probably the dust of like wood that's so far rotted that it's become just like it'd fall apart if you were to touch it, the little pieces that you see. So it looks like there was probably tables maybe or something like that in here and tapestries, but they're long since gone to the ages.
And the only other exit is to the north.
Yeah, and there's just one more exit to the north, exactly. And that one you go about 20 foot and there's a door. And that's a very large door that is wooden.
All right, I will approach the door quietly.
Okay. All right, you walk up to the door. It's a very, very heavy wooden double door. Let me just read what's on the other side because I'm assuming you're. My microphone's blocking the thing. Move my thing over. Okay. Let's see. Okay, you go up to that door. You're listening, I'm assuming. That's what you want to do?
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay. You put your ear to the door, and you wait while everybody's kind of waiting for you. You slow your heart rate and your breathing so you can hear as best as you can with your head pushed against the door. And you just hear the stillness. Nothing's moving. There's no sounds on the other side at all. Not even really the sound of wind or anything moving. It's just deathly still as you listen through the door. And probably when you turn back to tell the party to walk back to the party, suddenly they can see you as your invisibility fades.
Rats. All right. Before I turn back, I take a big nose full of air, sniffing. I don't sniff that horrible stench like that horrible monster that we fought at
Undead abomination.
Yes. Any undead smell?
You don't smell that, but with a big whiff, you think that you smell what could be rotten either vegetation or possibly food, but not that nasty smell that you smelled. But you do actually smell a bit of rot in the air, but not nearly what that creature was.
Okay. All right.
Maybe some of the dead animals thawed out.
Well, hopefully it's vegetation and not meat. So you see me turn back from the door and start walking toward you when I pop back into, well, I guess you see me pop back into visibility as I'm turning toward you, and I can see in your faces that you can see me. And so I motion for you to come closer, and then I pull out my lock picks. And I guess I'll try gently opening the door before I start picking them, but I'm obviously expecting to have to pick the door.
Yeah, there is a large lock, and it is locked actually. So yeah, let's see. Well, you can roll it if you want. Whatever your chances, just roll.
Use your skills of ill repute.
Let's see. Pick pockets, no.
No,
Finding traps. Open locks. 25. 25.
It's a trick
on the nose.
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, it's a very, very good lock. But you're able to, after a bit, pop it, and the doors open inward, or they would open inward, so you could push them open or whatever, I suppose, if you'd like.
Okay. I will do that.
Well, let's form up and open the door.
All right. You go to push on the door, and there's something blocking it. Like you hear like a bit of a, you're pretty strong. You hear like there's some stuff like maybe leaning against or collapsed against or piled against the door. And if you want to just force it open, it's going to require an open doors check.
All right, I will try to force it open.
Okay, so it's a D6.
And I'm +3 at forcing doors.
Yeah, so this is actually difficult because there's a bunch of stuff behind it. So it's actually -2. So you need a 1, 2, or 3 to open it.
A D6.
Yep.
Got a 1.
Nice. Oh, wow. Yes, you feel the first part, and you're like, "Oh, this is going to be tough," and you just like muscle into it, and you push it, and you hear things fall, and you hear metal hitting the ground. It's a bit of a mess as you push open into this next room, or the door open, anyways, and you're looking into what was likely a kitchen, based on the pots and pans that all fell on the ground. Some counter space that you see in there. You see hooks hanging that look like maybe the meat hangs as it's drying or whatever, but the carcasses are all now completely dried up, like stumps with like insects have eaten through them. You see like a big like oven type area with wood stacked next to it. It's very much a kitchen, and most notably, laying dead center on the floor, you see a man. Is he a man or is he a halfling? I think he's a man. Yeah, he's a man. He is dressed in what probably looks like fine clothing, but is now been aged so much that in moth-eaten, it's got the holes and stuff in it. And let's see. Oh, and wow. You guys immediately, like, you see it, and you're maybe going to walk over to inspect, and immediately you can see where the holes and stuff are in the clothing and kind of rotten through, and like his face, when you get closer to him, there's this like blue kind of mossy growth kind of coming out of his skin, and his arms like stretched out, and he's holding a long tube, like a spell scroll tube, but it's much longer. It's probably like 1.5 feet long, and it's closed on both sides.
Are there any exits from this room?
Yeah, let me look here. Where you're in the stores. Let's see. Yeah, you can actually see that on the I guess it's the east wall, there's a door. It's not nearly as grand and fancy as this door. It's a smaller door. This door is like big and tall and takes up almost the whole hallway. The one you went through. This is like kind of a almost normal sized door, maybe slightly taller, like 9-10 feet. Single door going off on the east wall, and there's also stuff piled up in front of this door. Oh, and I guess I probably didn't say, this room, like the other ones, the other rooms are 60-foot cubes. The 60-foot cube, just like the other one.
Well, I'm going to have to see what that tube is.
Okay.
I also turn to Al as he's kind of stepping forward and just ask him if, do you know what that blue stuff is? And just kind of pointing towards the moss, but not really touching it.
No, but I heard a rumor about it. A wolf showed up with that on it back in town.
Oh, really?
I assume the rumors that you put on the sign-up page were common knowledge.
Yep.
Yeah, but it was alive, so.
Would the cleric have any knowledge of maybe knowing what kind of, if it's some kind of disease or something like that at all, or?
Yeah, you would also the wolf did show up, and you did hear that. But I think too, you probably would have found that the wolf it seemed very sickly, like it wasn't like a full strength wolf, so it definitely didn't die. It wasn't dead, but it definitely looked like it was affected by it in a negative way. Yeah, make a roll under your wisdom, a d20 roll.
All right. 7 out of 14.
Yeah, you don't, not necessarily a disease you think, but you have definitely heard of kind of various magical or created by after effects of magical creatures that sometimes bond with and destroy creatures by touch. So
James will say, I don't believe this is anything natural, but this is possibly some type of cause from the effects of magical devices.
Without touching the body, I'll try to get the tube away from it.
Yeah, if you have like a stick or something.
Got a dagger.
Yeah, pick something up in the room. I mean, there's plenty of stuff in here. You can kind of move it away, and if you look at the case clearly, you roll it and make sure it's clear. The case itself doesn't have any of the blue stuff on it, but the hand definitely did, like up near the wrist. So if you had reached down to grab it, it may have been a bad idea. So it's good that you didn't do that. And if you were to pop it open and look inside, which I'm assuming you're doing,
which I have to do.
Of course, how could you not? You pull it out and you look, there's like star charts in here.
I was hoping for a map, but that's weird.
Yeah, they could, be useful as a, you probably sell them if you're not interested in yourself, or use because they're useful to a magic user because that's doing research on things. That would probably be that you could, that's your immediate thought, whether or not you find any other solution here. Let me just see. Yeah, they're basically used for, because you're a magic user, you would know this. They will be used possibly for navigation, but more likely for some kind of divination by, some kind of divination spells, using the stars and communicating with them for knowledge.
We might find a use somewhere in here for this. It's obviously here for a reason. So we've got another door in here we can open?
There's a door to the east. You have to move all the crap that's piled up in front of it, but you could pretty easily do that if you'd like. And it's just a normal door. And it is locked, but you can unlock it from this side. It's got like a latch. So
it's the opposite of the other door. We're on the inside of it.
That's right. Yeah. So if you were to look at the other door, right, it was clearly locked from the inside, and that's why you had to unlock it. But now you're on the inside, so you can lock it.
We can still have our thief listen at the door.
Yep. Do you want to do that, thief? I'm assuming.
I will. And I'll point out that whoever that is on the floor locked himself in here. What was he hiding from?
Or was locked in here by someone else. We did it for his own protection. Maybe did it protect others from him.
Lock mechanism is on the inside, right?
Maybe he locked himself in here to protect whoever else was here.
Oh, you mean because of the moss?
That could be.
That could be.
He was trying to stop the spread of that blue stuff growing on him. I don't think I look that bad in blue.
You open the, you listen, I'm sorry, at the door. You hear nothing.
Yeah.
It's
all right, I will open it.
Okay, yeah, and like I said, it's not locked from this side. So you're able to open it up. You can see there's a corridor. This one's lower. Like I said, this door is only about 10 foot. Everything in this place has been super tall. This is only about maybe 12 feet, so it'd be like a little bit taller than the door. And this hallway is much different than the other hallways in the sense that it is square. All the other ones had that kind of rounded look to them. It is of the same material, though, and as you look through, you can see that it goes down about 20 or so feet as you kind of shine the light in, and then all the walls and stuff switch from being that that grayish stone that you've been seeing to like a jet black stone, but that as the light hits, it reflects, so like a shiny black stone. Yeah. Otherwise,
Still that smooth, not carved look.
Exactly, still smooth and not carved, and it goes further than your light source. You'd have to go in deeper to get any more info than that. That's basically right at the end of your light source.
Let's go to it, huh?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. Yeah. So you guys walk down the corridor, and basically you get to the area where it's all black, and it continues down for another like 40 or so feet. So your lantern's good, kind of goes down, and it seems to dead end. So you're kind of in like this like 40-foot by like 12-foot, 40-foot long by 12-foot wide and high, black, shiny kind of black corridor, and it seems to dead end.
Are there any shelves on the walls or anything? This isn't like a pantry. This is just a hallway.
No. There's no shelves, especially in the black area. It's like completely smooth. Okay, it's like almost unnaturally so. And the black stone, I mean, you got dwarves in here. Like this is very very unusual. Probably carved by magic, you would imagine, or just technology beyond anything that you could imagine, even with the dwarven skill. You'd have to give them props.
It doesn't make sense to build a hallway without an exit, though, does it?
No, and I mean, Finch too isn't very smart, but he's wise enough to know that you wouldn't lock a door to basically an empty hallway that leads nowhere. Like that makes no sense.
Wait just a moment, fellow travelers. And Philantis will stand up again and hold that sword up and say, help us find the way. And she'll try to locate any secret doors.
Okay, yeah, so you hold the sword, Grenier, up and activate the power, and your eyes are drawn up, and you see above you the faint outline of a trapdoor in the ceiling, about 12 feet up.
She looks up, at the height of it, and she points over she points the sword at Fingalika at first, and then she's like, oh, no. But no, look up. You're going to be the one to help us get up there. And she shows her exactly where it's at.
Yeah, once it's pointed out, everybody can see it. Everything, especially because this place is super smooth. With all the light bouncing around from the lantern, it was hard to see that there was actually this very thin outline of basically a trapdoor, about 5-foot square trapdoor in the ceiling.
And how high up?
It's about 12 feet.
Is there any debris or anything in this hall, or is it completely clean?
Nope, this hallway is completely clean, not even dust.
I look over at Philantis. Why would someone put a trapdoor in the ceiling of an empty hall?
Well, I do not be able to answer that question. That's not. But I tell you what, there's something else I need to do while we're here. And she's going to raise the sword again and use the detect traps on that trapdoor.
Okay. Yeah. There is no traps. It's not trapped at all.
All right. She says, well, I've got a very good feeling and understanding from my friend here, and she'll pat the sword pommel. There's no trap, so it should be easily opened.
Problem is getting up there.
All right. I reach down and pick you up and hold you up on my shoulders and then lift you up so that you can reach the trap door and push it open.
All right.
I'm very strong.
How tall are you? Because he's only a little tiny dwarf. I guess you're probably tall enough. If you're 6 foot and he's 4 foot.
I'm a strapping Viking lad.
There's some debris in that last room we could stack up to stand on.
That's true. Yeah, there's tables in there and stuff. You definitely can do it. I mean, I was just, yeah. So when you get up there, however you do it, you can lift them up. It's fine. You can probably just barely reach it. When you go to touch the stone, even before your hand touches it, you can just feel like an immense cold coming from it. Like I mean, not to say this place is warm by any means, but it's almost like there's this incredible cold coming from the stone.
Yeah, she makes no reaction. I mean, she'll probably jerk her hand back, but she doesn't say anything.
Okay. Do you want to open the trapdoor?
Oh yeah, she'll pull it open or push it open, whichever.
Yeah, it basically pushes up. It's more or less just a slab of stone. And actually, how you don't know, it works. But as soon as you push on it, it actually becomes almost very light and just kind of like slides up, and immediately starts to slide over. When you touch it though with your fingers, like it is like grabbing like something that's absolutely frozen. It doesn't cause any damage mechanically, but it's very, very cold. And when you do that, the trapdoor opens up, and you can see it above you, space above you. As you're looking up, you see that the ceiling in whatever room or whatever this is also absolutely black, just like what you're seeing. And I mean, you're below it, so you can't really see much without climbing up, I guess. Let's see something. So basically, you're on the shoulders of a strapping Viking lady, standing on her shoulders. She's 6+ foot tall, and you're 4 footish tall. So you're like you're able to push it up, but your hands are basically just barely reaching the top, unless you want to get stuff to climb with.
Yeah, is there any way she could kind of jump up and grab hold and pull herself up there? And does she see anything she could secure that grappling rope and that rope? You know, grappling hook and rope.
Yeah, you want to just jump up and climb in up there. And
yeah, she would try that if she doesn't see anything just standing right there. You know, right there at the entrance.
Fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. You jump up. What's your strength?
14.
Oh yeah, that's plenty. So yeah, you jump up and grab the edge with your hands, and you lift yourself up. Yeah. You see, as you look into this room, you see. Maybe I'm gonna write it in chat, and you can react to it.
All right.
Oh, okay, hold on. Fun. Let's see if we can do this, Tony. Apparently my typing is not great, so killing the drama. Oh, this chat area is so small. Oh, there we go. And it's looking right at you. And you don't.
Is there anywhere that she can secure that grappling hook to throw the rope back down? I mean, that's right there by her.
Well, so since I rolled and you're not surprised, nor is it. So this is basically how this goes down, right? You jump up with your hands and you pull, and you look over the edge, and this thing is looking right at you, and you know what we have to do now.
Yep.
Roll
Oh, come on, D6, don't fail me. A 3.
Oh my God, she rolled a 1. So yeah, what are you gonna do?
How big is the room again, roughly?
Oh, so this room that you're looking into is actually very large. The one you're looking into, you're saying, right? Actually, it's not that big. You're looking into a room that's probably like 60, let's say 40 to 60 feet long, by about 30 to 40 feet wide. And you can see that on the other end behind this thing is like a passageway to get into another area, basically. And the ceilings here are very tall, just like everywhere else, about 60 foot tall.
What color is I get that last part, but is there like a color to it, or is it just the whole thing is like clear? Does it have a color of the rest of it?
It's mostly clear. Yeah. You've never seen anything like it. It's a unique.
All right.
Yeah. It's you wouldn't have any idea. I mean, you
Yeah.
know what it is, but yeah.
Yeah, Phalantus, she was preparing to get the grappling hook and the rope, and she looks down at Thimalika and she goes, "Catch me!" And she jumps down without saying another word. She'll jump back down, hoping Thimalika will catch. And on the way down, she's going to yell, "Run or hide, dragon!"
All right. What do you guys want to do? The dwarf drops.
I think I was about to try to catch you, but then you said dragon, and I may have flinched. So I better roll something. Maybe roll under dexterity or something?
Yeah, if you want to do that, that's a fun way to do it. Just roll under your dex to see if you catch her.
All right, I got a 5 out of 15.
Okay, yeah. So you're able to you're like, well, you catch the dwarf as you both collapse down to the bottom. What's everybody else doing?
Running back to the kitchen area, I think.
I guess I should say, is anybody not running?
No, run away.
Just run.
All right, yeah. So you guys run. Oh my god. So Zin,
Didn't sign up for this. He was just a retainer.
Yeah, the dragon comes up and sticks its head in the hole and breathes a fiery breath. Gonna say that the two people that are directly under the hole, which is the Melita and Volante, make a save versus dragon breath.
All right.
Let's see. I love how this set of rules has very specific things like dragon breath and death ray.
How often do you get to roll versus dragon breath? Well, when there's a dragon.
I failed
All right,
6 of 13.
Oh my god. Okay.
I got a 19 out of 16.
Oh, so you pass. Okay. So let's see how much damage this dragon does. Let's look her up. Dragon. Well,
I actually get that plus. No, never mind. I don't have that sword out. No, I got the ring on though, but anyway, I'll still fail.
Oh, what ring do you have? Fire resistance?
Yeah, ring of fire resistance,
Okay,
but
so
I still would fail.
Yeah, but you still take less damage.
Yeah, I'll tell you, reduced by 1 point per damage die I rolled.
Okay. Oh, but there's no actual damage. Oh, actually, I know how to do it. I know how to do the math. Okay, so this is even though it's breathing fire. Okay, so it actually, if you fail, you'll take, but you're reduced by 1 point per die, Tony. So you'll take 21 points of damage. And if you pass, you'll take 13. Did that kill you?
As Phalantus falls, and sees Thimalika's not going to catch her, and then she hears the mouth of the dragon open and the breath hit her, she throws the sword down the hallway as she is burned to a crisp. I will put her at -7.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you are roasted. The sword, I'll let you throw the sword because you had initiative. So yeah, you throw the sword, it jangles on the floor and goes and slides towards the kitchen door. How about Feminita? Did you survive that massive attack?
Well, I've got 4 hit points before this all happened.
So
I
no.
don't think that I survived.
Yeah, no. So you take 13 points. So you are also disintegrated by the terrible breath of the dragon. The rest of you, I'm going to say, it doesn't say dragon breath fills an area, so it only shot it straight down. So everybody else was able to escape the dragon's breath without any issue. It does, in fact, turn its head. It sticks its head through this hole and kind of turns. It's a very, very kind of thin and long dragon, and its scales are basically clear. It looks almost like you can almost see through it. It's not really invisible, but it's basically completely clear scales. And it cannot fit through this hole, fortunately for you. So if you run into the kitchen, it does not follow you as you slam the door shut. So, yeah, you guys can play your henchman if you died, if you want. And you're all back in the kitchen area.
Can we say the henchman, or if nobody else did, picked up that sword?
Yeah, you can wait like a few heartbeats, and you hear that the dragon's not there, and somebody can just walk out there and get the sword.
Yeah, I'll have the thief John pick it up because he's lawful too.
Yeah, it needs to be a lawful person. As long as they're lawful, we'll just say that you kind of understood that. So that's fine. Yeah, if your character had anything magic or whatever, Harry, that you want your henchman to take, they can creep back in the hallway and take it.
Well, with the other sword that she had, would it would still be good too? Huh? I mean, it wouldn't have burned.
If it's magic, it did not get destroyed. No.
Yeah, well, there's another sword laying there, so they'll. I guess I would think the henchman would probably have some knowledge of that since that was her primary sword of what it did.
Yep.
So yeah, John will share with the rest of the group that the main sword that Philantis had is a +1/+3 versus dragons.
Oh, look.
No use to her now.
Oh, good.
And I rolled that randomly.
My dwarf Thomo says, I don't think that we'll be needing the sword against dragons anymore.
Okay. Yes, you're recovering from your losses in the kitchen. Maybe you barricade that door back up. Who knows? But the dragon does not follow you. So, what do you guys want to do?
So that was the oven, I take it, from the kitchen.
Uh-huh.
Well,
And it,
If you said something, Scott, you broke up. Yeah.
it can't get through the hole.
It did not come through the hole. It didn't look like it based on the size of it. I mean, you did. Nobody really got a good look at it except for the character that's dead. But it seemed by the size of its head that it probably couldn't fit, and it didn't follow you. So, if you wait like I say, a minute or two or 10 minutes or whatever you want to wait, and we'll look down the corridor to pick back up that the enchanted sword that you found. The dragon did not follow. It's not in the hallway. It's not there. So, it did not seem to fit.
Well, one of these scrolls has a fireball spell on it. And there's protection from evil. We can attempt the impossible and go after that dragon. Or just walk on home with this shiny new magic set of swords we have.
And there was one other corridor that we didn't quite explore, so there's that too.
Yeah, back in the room with the staircase.
Taking on a dragon does not seem like that good an idea, especially when it's not too interested in trying to kill us all.
James, the cleric, looks at the group and he goes, well, I'm sure that there will be more of us that would not make it out of the dragon's breath, but if I had a chance and was fast enough to read this scroll, I believe my God could look up on the area of the dragon and cast an area of silence in case it tried to cast any spells upon us.
Would it be possible for us to do that though? Like try and... You'd have to see the area to use the scroll though, right?
Yep, and we'd have to win initiative.
Thomo picks up his pack and starts heading back toward the room with the stairway.
Oh, then that settles it then. We need not split the party.
Okay, yeah. So you guys go back through the heavy doors that were locked and barred, but of course now they're open. Your very useful thief who is now ashes. A lot of ashes going on in this module. Opened them. So you guys go back into that empty room that looked like it was some kind of now kind of putting together. That was like a kitchen. This room had a lot of tables. As I figured maybe this was like a feasting hall or something. You go back through that and enter back into the room with the stairs. And again, so you got stairs going straight up. You're coming from the north. If you were to continue south, that would get you back out where you came. If you went east, you know that corridor goes about 100 feet, and then there's some collapse. So what you want to do?
Let's go east.
Okay.
That corridor collapsed.
Yeah, well, it starts to have some collapse in it. As you kind of move down about towards, what you quickly find out is the end. You see that their corridor itself is not collapsed, but rather that it opens up into a room, and in that room, the far southern wall is collapsed. So let me just give you a breakdown of the whole room before we do anything else. So the room itself is like 60-foot-ish, a little bit less, east-west. The southern wall is collapsed, and you're basically right next to that collapsed area. Directly across from you on the east wall is another passage, just like the one you came through. The room itself is very long. It goes up, we'll say, like about almost 200 feet to the north, so you can't quite see the end of it. At which point there's like a large opening that seems to open up into another chamber. On the east wall, as well as the one I told you about that's directly across from you, there's another passageway going through that way that is about, let's say, about 70 or 80 feet up that wall. So, just as far as entrances, exits go, you're looking at the one you came through, which is on the west wall, all the way to the south. On the east wall, you've got one all the way to the south, one about halfway up. And then on the north, you've got an open that goes into another space. In addition to that, let's see. So that's just basically the lay of the land. Now let me tell you what you actually see in the room. Okay, so you see just slightly north of where you are, kind of a strange sight. You see 8 humanoids, we'll call them. They're about 8 feet tall. They are laying with their heads kind of together, so they're creating a large circle. And their arms are across their chests, much like you might do in death. They are basically, they look to be frozen. You can see like ice crystals on them. They are wearing armor, but with heavy helmets, but they're at least one or two have the face that you can see them. And they have strange faces, tiny little eyes, kind of almost no nose, and basically like a large mouth with kind of like tusks kind of coming out of them. They are all but one have weapons laying across their chests. Which are a combination of war hammers and pole arms. And the one that does not seem to have a weapon has laying kind of at his side, basically. You can see that he has a scabbard that is very finely wrought, that would be for a normal sized sword. The scabbard is encrusted in various, it has like an inlay of gold, and it is blue with jade ornamentation. Otherwise, in the room, it is pretty much empty. Yeah, that's all you would see right now. Yeah. So you're kind of right now. I have you like not actually physically in the room. You're like in the hallway, still peeking in. So you're kind of hidden.
Well, we found a sword. They got a scabbard.
Well, I guess that's the former owner.
Maybe.
Should we give it back to him?
I don't know. It's the only treasure we've gotten out of here.
True.
What does the sword have to say?
Yeah, does the sword say anything to John?
The sword. Oh, actually, I forgot about this. What's your combined wisdom?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Wisdom is 10, and what's the other stat? Oh, you broke up.
Strength.
10, so 20 total.
Okay, so actually, The rest of the party probably didn't notice so much, but when John picked up the sword actually took control of him. It's not been saying much, but it will now speak through John when you say that. And it says, of course, I would always prefer to have a worthy warrior wield me in battle. That was, and so like John speaking, that was my former master, Thyvir the Great. Return me if you will, but he appears to be dead.
Is one of the bodies conspicuously missing, like it was one of them that came after us?
No, no, the circle is complete. And the thing that attacked you was more like a human. These are definitely
the
not human.
sword know what killed them?
So the sword, no, he doesn't know. The sword basically doesn't really. It was taken,
Right.
by. I don't know. Well, hold on. How smart is the sword? Let me see what the sword would actually know. This is a good question. Actually, the sword's pretty damn smart. Actually, the sword says they laid here to rest, and I was snatched from my sheath by an unworthy human who met his end in the room where you found me.
Is anyone else bothered by the fact that this is it a dwarf that's speaking?
I think he's human, isn't he? Yeah,
Yeah, I guess they're both human. It don't say so.
yeah, well, it's racist class.
This man seems to be talking as if he was here before. I don't like it.
No, Bert isn't that smart, so to him it's he just kind of takes it at face value, just kind of, he probably didn't have that much interaction, so he assumes either this person is very knowledgeable about this, and if he does figure it might be the sword, I don't think he feels threatened by it because it didn't attack them. So he's fine with this.
Oh, 10 minutes ago, this guy was just a torchbearer. Now he's speaking as though he knows the place.
He just takes it in that childlike level of smarts where you're like, yeah, sure.
Hey, that's how it happens. Well, actually, 20 minutes ago, you were a torch. Well, actually, no, probably at this point, an hour and a half ago.
I think Al's the only remaining
That's
hero.
true.
It might be.
John will say, since he's a thief, he'll say, well, the sword said that they're all dead and they're frozen. Maybe we should to look around and search. They may have some other items on their bodies that we could take.
I will stand guard.
Yeah, John will go, to those bodies and start looking at them.
Okay, sure. Yeah,
They seem dead and not dangerous, so sure.
Yeah, you guys walk up to the bodies. What you immediately notice is that all the stuff they have, like all their equipment, is very, very fine. So like their armor, even though it's too big, maybe for most humans, is really, really finely made, like scale type armor. They're like warhammers. The heads of them and stuff have this like beautiful steel, like you see that you've noticed in several places here. Their belts that hold their weapons, their weapon belts would have daggers in them, whatever, are all like very nice with like silver belt buckles, and so they look like would in your world it'd be like maybe like knights or like nobility, how they might have like armor and stuff that's very fancy. That's what you immediately notice. As you kind of like root through their pockets and stuff, they give off kind of like a very strong cold. In fact, when you're leaning over them and kind of looking at the stuff, you start to like your breath starts to put clouds, because it's cold. So they don't. It doesn't seem like they have any, like gold pieces in their possession, but like their clothing and their weapons and stuff like that all look like they have some value. So I don't know if you want
Unlikely
to.
so that I could try and steal one of the armors, because at this point I have no armor.
I mean, it's kind of big unless you're a human, right? I mean, they're like somewhat almost 8 foot tall. But yeah, I mean, you could certainly wear it. I guess it would just. I'm gonna say that you could wear it. It'll be like a little encumbering because it's so large. You can like slush it over your body, but it's gonna slow you down.
That's fine. I'd rather be slowed down than get slaughtered again.
Okay. Yeah. So you start stripping one of these guys. Their skin is kind of this grayish as you kind of unroll him out of his arm, unceremoniously strip the dead guy. Their bodies are like very, very fat laden and kind of a grayish skin as you strip down the one guy.
John is going to ask the sword which one of the bodies was his previous master, and when he shows him, then he's going to leave that rusty sword with that body.
The one with the beautiful scabbard.
He'll take the scabbard though and leave the old rusty sword.
Okay, yeah, I mean, you definitely can do that. The scabbard is valuable, and of course that sword fits perfectly in it.
They kind of go together, so you should probably either take both or leave both.
That's true.
Maybe something will happen if you have the both of them.
Oh yeah, I mean,
look what happened to the previous owner.
So these guys just look like they laid down and died. They weren't chopped up or.
Yep, they're in perfect condition. There's not cut up. They're not anything. They're if you, especially since you strip one, you don't notice any wounds on them at all. They look perfectly healthy.
I will try to return him to a somewhat dignified position.
Okay. So instead of like his hands across his thing, they'll be down there.
Yeah, more or less. It's just
Yeah, that's fine. You roll him back. Are you taking his weapon too? You're gonna leave it there?
No, I have the sword. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah, you definitely can do that. It takes a few minutes, obviously, to strip the guy down and search them. So yeah, aside from like their clothing and stuff that you could pull if you want to take belts and stuff, there's no like monetary treasure on them at all. They don't have any treasure on them. So you do that. It takes a little bit. What do you guys want to do now? You're in this large hallway. You've got, again, if you want to explore further north, you can kind of just at the edge of your lantern light get the idea that it opens up into a space north.
There's an exit north, and there's one up, an elevated exit to the east, right?
Well, it's not up only in the sense of up at the wall. It's not high off the ground. It's just further up the wall. There's basically 2 exits on the east wall. Yeah. Sorry if that was confusing. They're basically just up, relative to the wall. So okay. One's in the southeastern corner. The other one's like in the center of the wall on the east wall.
But the one at the north is more like an opening into another chamber. So not less of a hall than an opening. Is that right?
That's right. That looks like it's like more like an opening into a chamber because you can see only about 5 foot or so of wall, and then you can kind of see space beyond it. Just barely because you're about halfway up the room now, so your lantern just kind of just barely peeks into that room. So it's another room. For sure.
Let's look at that one.
Let's check that one out to the north then, yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, so you guys move up to the north, and as you're kind of passing through the rest of this room, you notice that it's pretty empty. What this room was for maybe is unknown. It's not very clear. You do see some scraps of what might have been wood for like tables or whatever, but again, it's really unclear. It's just a long room. It's by far the longest room you've been in. And as you kind of get up, your lantern little by little starts to light up the other space. And that space is roughly 60 foot cube, like some of the other ones you've been in. As you start to move closer to it, you see about just as you get to kind of the entrance, I guess is when your lantern would start to peel in there. You see a large black altar, for lack of a better word. It's like a gigantic black. It's clearly an altar, I guess, laid out all against the north wall, and above it, the wall itself looks like almost like because you saw the star charts earlier. It kind of looks like that, except there's like flecks of like mica and stuff showing the stars. So as your light hits it, and then where like some of the larger stars are very clearly. Is there a dwarf in the party?
Not anymore.
Yeah, we got one left. Yeah.
We do have one left.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm a dwarf.
Yeah,
I'm a
very
dwarf.
very clearly large, almost fist-sized diamonds. However, as your eyes kind of look around that, you see something else that is kind of clear and shiny, and it is a dragon.
Oh yeah, baby.
So it saw you coming, so it's clearly not surprised. But I'll say you guys are being cautious. So who hasn't rolled initiative yet? I think Scott, right? You've done it yet?
No, I have not.
All right, so here we go. Initiative against the dragon. It got a 3.
Got a 4.
Okay, I forgot to ask, but you guys can just do whatever you're going to do. Is anybody casting a spell?
Casting off the scroll.
Yep.
Okay.
Spell, scroll spell.
Okay. Go ahead. I think
Use the short bow, just because that seems smarter.
You're going to shoot with the arrow? Okay, that's fine. So I think it's missile and magic. So actually missile does go first, right? Yeah, so shoot your arrow first and then magic.
3. No, that's just a no.
All right, so you shoot wildly into the darkness at the dragon, which is clear. It's a clear dragon. And go ahead. What are your spells? And does it matter if you can basically just say what they are, and whichever they go off in the order that you guys want them to.
The fireball off the scroll. I have no idea what level it would be at.
It's at your level, I guess, because it doesn't really say in BX. At least not in B. It doesn't.
Yeah, it's just a fireball.
Yeah, so it'd be your level. So it's
based on level.
Yeah, so you're what, 3rd level? So 3d6 damage.
There you go. 11.
All right, 11.
Nice.
It gets a save, of course. Okay. It rolled an 11 for the save. It saves as spells 14, so it fails. All right, wow, okay, nice. Fireball. It definitely hurts it. Hold on a second. Cool.
Some of your own medicine, dragon.
Yeah, so it and what's your spell scroll, Don?
Oh, James is going to use that silence. He's going to, look at where the dragon is and cast the 15-foot radius of silence where the dragon is.
Oh, nice. Oh, wow. Okay, good. That's very good, actually. So I think if you're casting that something, it gets a save.
I believe so. I just read it a few minutes ago. Let me look at it again.
Let me just check. That's a cleric spell, right?
Yep. If casted a person, the victim must save her spells. If saving throw successful, the spell will remain in the area in which it was cast, but the victim may move out of it.
Okay. So basically, it's going to be the area the dragon's in no matter what, so it'll stop at least this round. But if he fails its save, even if it moves, it's basically silenced. So it fails. Okay. So the silence is locked into the dragon, which may or may not be good for you. Because if it moves to you, then it's going to block you. Okay, so missiles went, spells went. So, yeah. Does anybody want to charge at this thing and do melee? You're about 30 feet away from it.
Well, quick question. Did you take that sword that was offered to you, the +3 sword with dragons or not earlier?
I think that I was saying that we're not going to need a dragon slaying sword anymore. It's not worth risking going back into that hallway.
Well, no, I mean, I would have picked it up. I mean, we would have picked it up. I just didn't know if you were actually curing it right now.
Well, I suppose if you picked it up, it's better than my spear, that's for sure.
That's fine. If you want to say you have it, because that would make sense. I think you would probably take a magic sword over a spear. I mean, most people would.
All right.
So if you have a sword with plus three against dragons, then it'll be +3 to hit and damage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Thomo, my dwarf, and my not yet named cleric look at one another knowingly that all the hallways between here, well, and the cliff are big enough for a dragon to go through. So there's no escape. And they charge.
Nice.
Suicidally.
All right, go ahead. Make some attacks.
All right, so here comes the dragon slaying sword attack from my little dwarf. He rolls a 1.
Nice.
Oh,
All right, you charge at the dragon. It maybe falter at the last minute, or it's pretty clear, so it's hard to hit. How about your other character?
And Warhammer from my cleric. Rolls a 2.
Oh God!
Their first level characters fighting a dragon. What do you expect?
You got this. Okay, sorry. So, all right, I'm just gonna go in order. I'm just gonna start with you, so it's easier for me. Tony, do you have any characters that haven't gone?
yeah. John, it has that sword.
Okay.
He is going to feel motivated by it, and he is going to look at the sword and say, "Fly me straight into the dragon's eye." And he's going to use one of these flying spells that comes with it.
Yeah.
He wants to take and fly, and supposedly he wants to go straight towards this dragon and stab the sword into one of its eyes to help blind it.
Okay. All right. I'll if you hit it, I'll give you +2 damage because you're flying at it at supersonic speed.
All right. Come on, dice. This is the time I need you. And he rolled a 2.
You fly past the dragon, crash into the wall.
Yeah, and that probably killed him because he's only got 1 HP.
No, you don't. You zip past it. He does only. I saw that the guy that took the supersonic magic sword only has 1 HP. Okay, Ethan, do you have any characters?
Mighty warrior.
No, I only have the 1 retainer. And,
Okay.
Yeah.
You already won. Yeah. All right, so back to Al, who went. Do you have any retainers left?
Yeah, but he's standing in front of me.
Okay, he's basically a meat shield. Okay, so everybody's gone then. It is now the dragon's turn. So it already shot the breath once, so there is a rule for this. It's a D6, and 1 through 3 it shoots the breath. That's what you don't want. It extends its breath. Everybody except the thief who flew past it has to make a save versus breath weapon. But I'll give you cover, Al, because you got a guy standing in front of you. So I'll give you +4 to your save.
Well, even with the save, I'm probably going to die.
Probably.
Oh my gosh.
17.
The cleric made it 16 on 16.
How do I figure out the save for the human? Since it doesn't.
Oh, he's a 0 level.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
his save is crap.
14 is probably not going to cut it.
Bob.
Yeah.
Bob's soaking up all the damage, whatever it is. But I saved.
You saved him, Bob. It didn't. Okay, good. All right. So if you saved, you take 11. And if you didn't save, you take 22.
It would have killed me either way.
Yep,
Didn't
I'm
matter.
dead.
Okay.
The cleric burns up at -9 points.
I should have used the light spell instead of the fireball.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Funny that, right? One. Well, although he passed the save on that one. Oh no, he didn't. He failed. Okay, so everybody died.
Except
Yep.
for the thief. I
Except
think.
the guy
for
who
the
just
thief.
flew in the wall.
That's right. So go ahead and roll initiative for the next round.
Oh,
Except
come
for
on. Give me
Jetpack
one
Johnny.
more. Give me one more chance to blind them.
4.
2.
All right. The dragon spins around. It's not going to waste its breath again. It's going to try to swing at you. 1 hit point thief. Oh, it only rolled an 8 though.
His AC is 11, it says. Or 8, I'm sorry, 8.
I was gonna say, it's probably gonna hit you then. Hold on, it's as white dragon, so it is 6 hit dice. It rolled an 8. That hits AC 6. Would hit you? Yeah. And what is the dragon? Well, it only had 1 hit point. So
Yeah, so I mean,
yeah,
he's
the dragon
good.
spins around and just it just spins around and bites into you and crunches your rib cage. You fall onto the altar as your blood drips through and is sacrificed to the gods that are.
And he just looks at the sword. His last moment, he goes, "I thought we were friends."
Okay, cool. So yes, you guys were all a bloody heap there, and the dragon the dragon slowly but surely picks one of you up and drags your body to its larder in the library, and then cutscene 4 hours later, the men that are all laying on the ground, one naked, start to wake up, and they sit up, and of course the guy with the rusty sword now says, "We've been robbed. Put some clothes on." And then that ends the Stellarium of the Vinteralf. Got killed by a dragon. That's always good. YouTube stream.